Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Well, go on, my brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She said she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Colda,
And me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hadija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. I'm Victor Law, the 5th day of, we are in August, yes. I almost said July. 5th day of August 2024. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. This is where we are serving you hot breakfast topics in as far as politics and social and other socio-economic topics are concerned. So stay with us until the end of the show. How was your weekend? Our Kenyan athletes are doing a fantastic job. We have to give it up to them. Making it up to that particular point, much as they have not succeeded, yes, some of them, is an achievement by itself, and flying the Kenyan flag high outside there on the political platform. Did I say political? International platform.
Wow, politics is so much into your mind.
Yeah. Yes.
It's understandable. It's what you do best, so it's fine. It's okay.
Very much understandable.
Ooh, okay. Okay, take two.
Yes.
We appreciate them for making it to the international platform.
Yes.
Yes.
Sports,
particularly. Sports, yes.
Actually, one of the most...
not political. Yes.
Not political sports.
It's one of the, what you would say, it's one of the prestigious sporting activities on the planet, and making it there is not easy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not an easy feat. So for them, having gotten the far they have, yeah, it's a plus.
Mari, how far can you run? Okay, Omanyala this, Mora that. You, what about you?
Well, I wouldn't compare myself to the elite athletes, definitely, but put me to the test, and you will see.
Vivian?
Well, I can run. As long as I have the right shoes, I can run. How far? I really don't know, but I can run.
I saw you somewhere one day. I'm going not to say where, but I did.
When I'm needed to run, trust me, I can give a good run.
Yeah. Okay, good morning. Welcome to the program. Now, at the top of the hour, that's at exactly 7 a.m., we'll be taking a look at what's happening now in the political arena. So much has been happening in our world, and you know, Kenya, in politics, just say that just one day is enough to do a lot. So they argue that success or failure in any social movements is affected primarily by political opportunities. And that's exactly what we've been seeing in the last 1 week or 2 weeks. So I just want to dissect some of those political opportunities that we've been witnessing in the country. The first batch of the 20 new nominees of the cabinet, that is the president trying to reconstitute his cabinet, the grilling took part last week and ended yesterday. We saw who did that, who declared what, worth how much, some of them this and that. I just want to take a look at that. And again, what is happening in the House, in the Hill? The UDA Secretary General is out. After that, before that, there were some wrangles in the UDA headquarters along Gong Road last week, and it did not take long, and we saw Cleophas Malala is out. So what is happening as well as that Kalonzo Musyoka and Gachagua debate? You remember that, what happened? I'm joined by Javas Bigambo, who is a political analyst, George Kithi, political analyst and advocate of the High Court. I'm also joined by Daniel Orogo, political commentator, Oscar Umondi Onyango, who is a political and governance policy expert as well in studio. Now, that's a packed show. 4 brilliant brains at the top of the hour. Join me. Vivian, run with it.
All right. Yes, it is a brand new month. It's August already, as Victor has mentioned, and as you already know, and I hope that you're just ready and willing to tackle this month the best way that you know how. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Degwa, and aside from politics, we will also be having the family segment, the family check segment, and today we'll be looking at trust. What is the role of trust in a relationship? And trust, as we all know, is something that once it's broken, building it back up is quite a task. So we'll be looking into that, and joining us for that particular conversation will be one Faith Nashipae. She is the CEO of Thriving Communities Africa. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that later on the show at around 9 a.m. Mike?
Vivian, thank you. And indeed, it's always a pleasure to have you on board, especially when you are starting your week and also your day, especially because today is a Monday, and you know, Mondays can be weighty on some people. Welcome to the program. My name is Mike Migo. You want to tune in to the program until the end because there's a lot packed for you. Remember, you can be part of the conversation on all our social media platforms. We are at KBC Channel 1 on all social media platforms. You can also visit our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. So this is Good Morning Kenya. Marie, take it away.
Well, a very good morning to you all, Victor, Vivian, Mike, and definitely to you wherever you're watching us. It's good to be back. I've been on a break, but yes, kazi lazima iendelee. So I'll be bringing you up to speed with what's happening in the news. And as Victor has already mentioned, the CS nominees, the last batch was vetted yesterday. So I'll be bringing you up to speed with all that, including what's happening in as far as the Olympics are concerned. We know very well that Mary Mora did very well. Ferdinand Omanyala disappointed himself, definitely, but all is good. So all that coming up in the news, and I'll start right away with the CS nominee vetting process, where the fourth and the final day of vetting of cabinet nominees. So 5 nominees grilled by Moses Wetangula-led National Assembly Vetting Committee, cooperatives and SMEs, that is Cabinet Secretary, that is nominee Wycliffe Oparanya, was put to task on claims of graft. Oparanya, however, denied any involvement in graft, adding that he had never received summons by the anti-graft body to write a statement. This, as Ministry of Mining and the Blue Economy nominee, that is Ali Hassan Joho, dismissed claims of being a drug dealer, expressing his willingness to work with the President Ruto, despite being a vocal critique of his administration. Now, Cabinet Secretary nominee for Labour and Social Protection, that is Alfred Mutua, on his part pledged that he would dispatch lawyers to the Gulf nations that have labor agreements with Kenya to understand labor agreements with Kenya and dictates of their laws and safety of Kenyans working in the Gulf. Now, the other 2 nominees who were grilled on Sunday were Justin Muturi, Public Service, and Stella Soilangat of Gender CS nominee. Let's get the details of that story.
Corporate money would be very safe in my hands, Mr. Chungwa.
These investigations that EACC is talking about, are you saying here on camera on open day that you have never written any statement?
I'm saying here in the camera that I have never been called to write a statement up to this moment. And when they came to my house, it was even not about corruption. The first question they asked, what business do you do with Raila Amolo Odinga?
What did you go to do there?
I had gone to collect my phones because they had taken my phones of my children. I know I was among the people who are opposed about the Hustler Fund. And I had not known the facts about the Hustler Fund until now. I've been briefed about the Hustler Fund. I think this fund, if well managed, is a fund that will take our people from poverty.
I did not do well in my secondary school. I got a D-, no doubt. But Mr. Speaker, I turned that around. Today, as I sit here, I hold 2 degrees that are before you. Mr. Speaker, I am on my pathway to attain a master's degree from the most prestigious university in the world. And that is achieved by determination. Honorable Naisula told me, nitaongea na.
You don't have to answer that. Only fools don't change their mind.
I was going to say it in Kiswahili.
Go and answer the other question.
There are greater cartels in the mining industry. And Mr. Speaker, if you approve me, that is where I begin. Remove the cartels, remove the brokers. Mining industry in Kenya cannot be a market of speculators.
We are not just about sending jobs of us, people to go overseas. We want to bring jobs here. And outsourcing of jobs is an opportunity.
Well, a section of Njuri Ncheke Meru Council of Elders has offered to mediate between the Meru County Assembly members and the Meru County Governor Kawira Mwangaza over her intended impeachment. Now, speaking at the Njuri Ncheke Shrine at Ncheru in Tigania West Sub-County, that is in Meru County, the elders led by Tigania Njuri Ncheke Chairman Adriano Aruyaru dismissed claims by another faction of Njuri Ncheke led by Joseph Murangiri that they have no capacity to solve the conflict. Governor Kawira Mwangaza, in the current 5th impeachment motion, is facing 3 charges, which include misappropriation of public funds, abuse of office, and gross misconduct.
Murangiri, who purports to be Secretary General wa Njuri Ncheke, na tumemkana mara nyingi tukisema yeye amelaaniwa na Njuri. Akaongea akasema ya kwamba Njuri Ncheke iwezi hiyo kesi. Tunamwambia leo tuko na nguvu, tuko na fikira mzuri, tuko na mawazo mzuri ya kuunganisha Meru County, watoto wetu na mama yetu, tuketi pamoja tuongee vile kile tunataka ni amani Meru.
Motion hii muko naye saa hii, musisikie haibu. Semeni ni maombi ya wasee, mumefuatilia, muitoe, mungoje Njuri Ncheke yongee na nyinyi tutasikizana, na hata mama atamusikisa.
Now, a section of Orange Democratic Movement Party Women League in Kisumu want Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga considered for the now vacant deputy party leader position. Now, the position fell vacant following the nomination of former holders to the cabinet by President William Ruto.
The 2 deputies that have gone to serve in the government will need to be replaced. We want to ask that we as women be considered. And in this case, we are considering one of us who's been at the forefront fighting for the party, and who has the party at heart. And we believe as women that given a chance, she'll deliver and carry the party flag to greater heights because she's done it before and we believe in her.
We want someone who has the women agenda. That is the local populace to the top. And we are appealing that they consider one of our own who has shown interest, is accessible, is strong, and has shown good leadership that is acceptable. She's young and she's very positive towards the agenda also of the ODM party.
I want to take this opportunity to thank ODM party for giving a woman a position of a whip in the National Assembly. It is important to the women constituency, and we are very happy that the woman was considered. How we wish that more women can be considered so that we have many women at the national level to talk on behalf of the other women. We want to thank our party leader.
Well, Narok Governor Patrick Olentutu has defended the move by the county government to increase the Masai Mara Game Reserve entry fee. Olentutu argues that the move aims at enabling his administration to maintain the reserve as well as improving service delivery to the residents and stakeholders.
The new entry fee for international tourists has been revised from 9,205 shillings to 26,300 shillings per person during the peak season. Local tourists will have to part way with 3,000 shillings to enter the game reserve, up from 1,000 shillings. Tourists will have to pay between $1,000 to $2,000 per night in some lodges and hotels.
Si kama county government tunataka kuhakikisha ya kwamba hiyo Masai Mara inawekwa sawa. Pia high season tumeweka from $100 to $200.
$500 for hotel balloon safaris and $200 per 24 hours for game drives. Governor Ntutu defending the move while accusing tour operators and bloggers in what he terms as spreading false information.
Ndogo ambayo saa nyingine unasikia ni wale labda tour operators ambayo hawasemi ukweli, kwa sababu tumekaa na hawa na stakeholders tukasema hii park hakuna park nyingine ambayo ni mzuri kushinda hii ya Narok.
He further argued that the move had been arrived at after following the right channels which include public participation.
To maintain the park is not that cheap. Lazima utengeneze mabarabara, lazima iwe na enough security, lazima tuhakikisha ya kwamba community around the park wana benefit, na lazima waone ya kwamba kuna haja kuna benefit gani katika hiyo park.
He made the remarks during a visit to Seknani Gate, which is among the 3 entry gates to the game reserve. Pastor Frederick, good morning, Kenya.
Well, moving on, a section of the Nairobi County Green Army, a group tasked in cleaning the city, has lamented over the upsurge of littering during protests. According to the group, the tear gas canister shells, stones and remains of burnt tires remain the main challenge when cleaning the capital city after every protest. Now, the Green Army is a group of youth contracted by the Nairobi County government to keep the city clean. There are about over 100 Green Army workers all across the counties.
Wale wanapanga mgomo kwamba waangalie matokeo ya mgomo haiwezi tokea kwa haraka. Ile mambo yao haiwezi kuwa addressiwa wakienda kwenye mgomo. Wajaribu tu watu wa hustle. Unajua kabla hata sisi tuajiriwe hapa tulikuwa na some grievances. We don't even expect it to come back. Juu imetuharibia kila kitu. Unakuja unatembea pande hii mawe zimejaa, badala uangalie makaratasi ni mawe ziko. Alafu tear gas all over tunafagia tukilia kila wakati. Iko kwa mchanga, unabeba mchanga mpaka huko, lakini hiyo mchanga ukisukuma unasukuma ni kama unalia. Na unakohoa, unasneeze kila kitu. So we request kitu kama hiyo ikifanyika, at least governor aone vile anaweza tusaidia.
Nataka kusema hapa leo, hao si Green Army, na nakataa kabisa, nakashifu hiyo kitu. Hao watu sio Green Army, sisi ndio Green Army. Hao wenye wanasema wanakuja kuandamana tarehe 7 wanajua penye wanatoka. Na ni nani mtu anajua kuna mtu mahali anataka kutuharibia sisi kama Green Army. Kwa sababu sisi hatuna shida yoyote na gavana wetu. Kama ni mshahara tunapata at the right time. Kwa nini tuandamane?
Now, the government has been urged to urgently deal with issues affecting people living in urban informal settlements. In a meeting that brought together various non-governmental organizations based in Nairobi and a section of those living in informal settlements, the government was urged to help improve their living standards and help address various issues they face, ranging from poor sanitation, poor housing, and limited access to healthcare, among others.
People living in informal urban settlement have for a long time faced a myriad of challenges, ranging from poor sanitation and the general lack of access to basic amenities. It is at the backdrop of this that various players working with those living in informal settlements in Nairobi County convened for a forum dubbed a Rise Close-Up event to try and find ways of addressing these challenges. The stakeholders presented photo voices as evidence of the hazardous environment in Nairobi's informal settlements.
Kuna yale sita tulipatana nazo, moja yao ilikuwa ni challenge of the drainage, ingine tukapata ni hiyo mambo na stima, tukapata mambo na lishe bora ikiwa chini for most of the families, tukapata kuna wasichana ambayo the heading families walikuwa na issue na maybe na kulikuwa na lot of poverty.
In their research, the Rise Consortium presented photos taken from the areas of Viwandani and Korogocho, which displayed the dire situation residents face.
They were able to identify some children that had been malnourished, and after following them up, they were actually from these households.
The stakeholders, led by LVCT Executive Director Dr. Lilian Mutiso, called for increased investment in infrastructure, healthcare and education to uplift these communities.
They've been able to do training to get those, especially people with disability, in groups, get them to have financial capability training and to link them with available resources.
The teenage pregnancy menace was also highlighted as a major challenge in these areas, with 21% of the reported cases in Nairobi being drawn from the informal urban settlements.
They have a voice. There are things they want to tell us, and that they need support and they need care and they need the health facilities to treat them with respect and not treat them like you silly girl or things like that.
Acknowledging the crucial role played by local administration in addressing these challenges, leaders present pledged to collaborate with all stakeholders in a bid to improve the living conditions of Kenyans living in informal settlements.
Leaders wengine wajaribu pia hao, kila mtu area yake ajaribu kushikilia hao people with disability, because bila kuwakumbuka hakuna watu wengine wanawakumbuka.
Now, the Digital Border Riders and Deliveries Association of Kenya operators in the city are demanding special parking slot for picking up and dropping passengers. The operators lament the poor working relationship with the county government of Nairobi. And speaking in Nairobi during a consultative forum between the association, police and the Nairobi County officials, they agreed to work together to enhance security and address alleged harassment and extortion by imposters, rogue traffic officers and county enforcement officers.
Let me tell you, we are ready to go on the road. We are ready to go for peacefully demonstration, at least to see if the government can work on it and apps also work on it to adjust the price of online.
It is a great gain because our plea has been heard and we have been promised that they are going to be acted upon. We are calling on this so that any time that we are doing our normal duties, we do it as free citizen in Kenya. Not that when we do something, we are seen as criminal. If it is about paying or accessing the CBT, so long as we are not being harassed by people who we give money who don't know their identity, we don't have the problem in paying. Do we have the problem in paying? No. But what we are against is giving money to imposters. That's what we don't want. Giving money to the county, we know that we should pay taxes. We don't have a problem.
Well, that's where we come to the end of the news this morning. Thank you so much for making the time for us. Remember, do not miss the live action of the Olympics happening right here on KBC Channel 1. My name is Maria Yambo and hope to see you again tomorrow.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m. On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me? I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you. I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out. Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani. Sisi wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Joshua Orwa Ojode was born on 29 December 1958. Ojode attended Ratanga Primary School between 1966 to 1972 and Miranda School from 1973 to 1976. He acquired a Bachelor of Arts in Environmental Studies and International Studies at Ramapo College of New Jersey between 1988 to 1991 after successfully serving as an assistant Walter Bailiff at the Ministry of Water from 1978 to 1981. He worked at Nile Investment Central Africa Limited from 1983 to 1986 and Polypipes Limited from 1986 to 1987 as a marketing manager. He occasionally taught at Aquinas High School. He was first elected to Parliament on June 28, 1994, to represent Nthiwa constituency. As a member of Parliament, Ojode started criticizing some issues and matters that he felt were getting in between politics and development in his native Luo land. Ojode, popularly known as Serikal, from the word Serikali, Swahili for government, owing to his strong, unrelenting support for the Grand Coalition government headed by President Kibaki and Prime Minister Raila Odinga. He was a performer and delivered assignments within the timelines according to legislative records on question and motions directed at the Ministries of Interior, Foreign, Education and Lands respectively, where he served diligently in a junior capacity. Ojode predicted the demise of the Independence political party following President Moi's move to bypass presidential hopefuls, including longer-serving Vice President George Saitoti for the then Greenhorn Uhuru Kenyatta as the party's flag bearer in the December 2002 elections. Not long after, the uprising erupted and which led to the formation of the National Rainbow Coalition that eventually sent KANU packing during the December 2002 general election. In 2005, Kibaki dropped all dissenters and reappointed a new cabinet. Ojode was among the new team despite the fact that he had been among the heap that opposed the draft in the just concluded referendum. Kibaki appointed Ojode as Minister for Environment while dropping his regional kingpin Raila, hitherto Minister of Roads, Public Works and Housing. But in solidarity with Raila and other members of the LDP brigade, Ojode turned down the offer. In 2007, he joined the Orange Democratic Movement. Years later, in 2008, Ojode was reappointed to the government but as Assistant Minister for Provincial Administration and Internal Security. Professor George Saitoti was the then Minister for Internal Security. Ojode, as it were, was among the first-line defenders of the Kibaki government. At the time of his appointment, the country was suffering the aftermath of the 2007-2008 post-election violence. The government was on the high alert to ensure the country remained peaceful and united in the face of the diverse ethnic communities. Ojode was among the lawmakers who supported the setting up of a local tribunal to try the 2007 post-election violence suspects. Under Saitoti and Ojode's watch, Kenya embarked on disrupting the Al-Shabaab through Operation Linda Nchi. On October 24, 2011, Kenya deployed its troops to Somalia to counter the Al-Shabaab militants. Ojode died in a helicopter crash on June 10, 2012, at the age of 53 years alongside his boss, Professor Saitoti, on their way to Nthiwa. At the time of his death, Ojode was basking in unmatched popularity, celebrating 18 years of uninterrupted parliamentary representation of Nthiwa constituency. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
Born in 1949, Henry Obwocha attended Kiangu Pag Primary School in Nyamira from 1957 to 1964 before proceeding to Kisii High School from 1965 to 1968 for his O-levels. He completed his A-levels at the same school in 1970. He joined the University of Nairobi in 1971, where he studied commerce for his bachelor's degree before proceeding to Oxford University in the United Kingdom for a master's in economics and management. He became a fellow of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, as well as a member of the Institute of Certified Public Secretaries of Kenya. From 1974 to 1992, Obwocha worked with the Pyrethrum Board of Kenya in various positions in the accounts department, rising to the position of chief accountant. In 1988, he founded Obwocha & Associates, an auditing firm. He contested the West Mugirango parliamentary seat in 1988 against incumbent David Onyocha Anasi. But that year, President Moi had introduced a queue voting system that sought to weed out dissidents within KANU during the single-party rule. Apparently, KANU bigwigs did not trust Obwocha, a firebrand, yet Onyocha won the seat despite trends on the ground showing that Obwocha was more popular. But with the reintroduction of multi-party politics, he joined the opposition Ford Kenya ahead of the elections in 1992 and won the West Mugirango seat. On joining Parliament, he became one of the most outspoken debaters who kept the government side on its toes. In 1997, he retained his seat on the Ford Kenya ticket, but in 2002, he moved to Ford People, the party that was dominant in the Kisii region, and won. He was appointed Minister of Planning and National Development from 2006 to 2008. He acted as Minister for Energy in 2006 and had a brief stint as Assistant Minister for Finance. In 2007, he lost to James Ondincho Gesami of the Orange Democratic Movement, also known as the ODM. Even after he lost his seat and failed in his subsequent attempt to clinch the Nyamira senatorial seat in 2013, the Ford People Nation chairman remained active politically, aligning himself to the government of the day. In April 2015, he was appointed chairman of the Privatization Commission of Kenya by President Uhuru Kenyatta. He was tasked with turning loss-making government corporations, which included banks and sugar companies, into profitable entities, but died without achieving much because several county governments had sued to stop the privatization of some of the institutions that are based in their territories. Obwocha is one of the founding members of KCA University, formerly known as the Kenya College of Accountancy. It adds that he was a member of the National Economic and Social Council, which drafted Kenya's Vision 2030. He collapsed in his Nairobi home after returning from a funeral of a relative in Nyamira. He was pronounced dead on arrival at the Nairobi hospital at the age of 69. Obwocha was still the chairman of the Privatization Commission of Kenya at the time of his death in 2018.
Good morning, welcome back. Time now is 10 minutes past 7 a.m. Welcome to the program. This is now Eye on Politics. I want us to take a look at what really happened over the week in the political segment. Now, this is what we do best at this particular point of the hour. I have on set, I have got Oscar Mondi, who is a political analyst and governance expert, joining me on set. I have Daniel Orogo, who is political commentator, and George Kithi, Wakili, advocate of the High Court, who is also passionate about politics. Gentlemen, good to see all of you.
Pleasure.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You have all your cups of tea there. I don't know who has two cups. Is it Daniel or Oscar?
We are sharing one cup of warm water here to keep our throats lubricated a little bit.
No. We have a full thermos.
Yeah.
But why three? Another cup in the middle. Must be Oscar.
No, this is Daniel, but he's, we are going into government of, it's called a broad-based government.
Yeah, I see what you do there, but okay. Good to see all of you. Welcome to the program. All right, so let me very quickly, as always, take you through the front page of local dailies. On the front page of the Daily Nation, faces behind Ruto Raila political deal. This is what I have here on the front page of the Daily Nation. Faces behind Ruto Raila political deal. We have got some faces who are not new to Jerusalem. One is Oburu Odinga, who is brother to Raila Odinga, of course, is Senator of Siaya. I have Raphael Tuju, who is a former cabinet secretary, and Mr. Kimani Chungwa, who is the majority leader in the National Assembly there. I have got Professor Adam Solo, who is also a lecturer and a close ally to Raila Odinga. Professor is a lecturer at the University of Nairobi. I have Mr. Aaron Cheruyot, who is the Kericho senator, as well as Mr. Joe Ager, who is a long-time Raila Odinga confidant. So Nation is trying to give a profile of these 6 gentlemen who are the faces behind the Raila Ruto political deal. And he says that for Azimio leader Raila Odinga, joining President Ruto was the less of two evils. The less of two evils. That is what we have here. Again, CS nominees haunted by ghosts of their pasts. It's alleged that shady dealings, unresolved cases, questionable conduct, and weak track records were among hurdles that were erected in the path of cabinet nominees in their quest to join the Kenya Kwanza government during vetting yesterday. That is also on the front page of the Daily Nation. And on the sports, Kenyan stars on course for Olympic medals. Of course, the 3,000 meters steeplechase world record holder Beatrice Chepkoech and world under-20 champion Faith Cherotich sailed through to the 3,000 steeplechase final at the Paris Olympic Games. This is what I have here. So, the men read here, close allies of opposition chief Raila Odinga at the heart of his political deal with President William Ruto held a series of late-night meetings before the naming of the new cabinet. Nation can reveal. And so Dr. Ruto was represented by National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and his Senate counterpart Aaron Cheruiyot, while Mr. Odinga was represented by Oburu Odinga. We also have Rafael Tuju, Adam Solo, and Joe Ager, representing Raila Odinga. Let me start with you, Oscar. You said it's a broad-based government. I'll pick it from where you left. So, what do you make of this, very quickly, in 1 minute, if you can?
I think this is a political move in the right order, because every time this country has gone to the brink, we've always had something that helps in bringing the common ground together, building a common ground together. I think a broad-based government, wherever you call it today, yesterday it was a handshake somewhere, then there were cooperations we've always had such arrangements. And not only in Kenya, in even other jurisdictions which has been copied by Zimbabwe and South Africa, every time those countries also have gone into the brink, they've come up with a system like this, where the majority and minority come together to build a broad-based, they call it this time a broad-based government, so that the opinion of the other is also brought to the table. Not just the opinion of the people who won government, but also the opinion of the minority of people who are seen to have lost in government, so that we are able to get the other voice. I think democratically, this is a good move. Yeah. Again, you know, for the last 2 years, it's like we lost a bit of the legislative arm of government. You know, we have the three arms of government. We have the judiciary, we have the legislature, and we have the executive. But it's like we lost the legislature. So there was no voice from that other way.
Are you saying that Kenya is not predictable? That after every electoral year, after every election, this has to happen?
It has to happen because what divides us. It has to happen. It's like, that is what makes us get us together, because the elections do not get us where we want to go. So after elections, we are struggling always. We are struggling because the elections are so divisive. We end up with actually violent...
So Oscar, why should we have elections then? If a loser cannot accept and say 5 years of your time, now take reins of power.
I think we are still not ready for this, probably the type of system that we are, because the tradition of where we are coming from, we are coming from a consultative, sometimes negotiated democracies, because we have, like in the northeastern Kenya, you know, they sorted out because they have negotiated, they have these clans that come and agree together. You know, for example, I'll give an example of Somaliland. Somalia, and we have Hargeisa, where clan leaders come together and come to build a consultative forum in the name of a parliament. So Hargeisa is peaceful, and Somalia in Mogadishu is not very peaceful. So we have these negotiations that we are always struggling, and when we're struggling, we end up into a chaotic system, which we've had for the last 2 years. But now I promise you, with this type of, and when I watched the vetting, I realized there was a very big attempt on trying to build a common ground among the people who've been so much against each other for the last 2 years.
All right, Daniel?
Well, first of all, let me begin by congratulating the team that is representing us in the 2024 Paris Olympic.
Very important.
Who have, even in the background of a very challenging climatic conditions, they are putting our national, face in the global competition. We might not have achieved what we can. Ferdinand Omanyala was bowed out, and his legacy went up in smoke yesterday when he finished, last in that, was it the last final hit qualification? So we are proud. I think this is just to send our message to them today, as they are still competing. They are watching, and those who are watching, that our hearts and our minds are with our team in Paris. Secondly, coming into the issues that unite us most than those that divide us as a country. You know, may I comment that the government of there are terms that we've used ever since we are mutating from post-electoral period. Broad-based government, government of national unity, the grand coalition government, the terms that we use to try to strike a semblance of inclusion that we are now reaching up to, trying to fill up the gap. I think I foresee interests that are threatened converging, to occupy a political space and try to see to the ground that, they couldn't allow that to be threatened further. There had been a very peculiar form of demonstration that we saw, from the anti-finance bill to mutating to now threatening to disrupt the status political coup, and all this just disrupting how the system is. And I think that was a very big threat to a political establishment. And therefore the issue that came in was just an issue to make sure that a political class coalesce to protect their interests. There is nothing else that we can define as that.
Very good.
So as a narrative, people would want to come and say different narratives as to what has happened. As a matter of patriotism, knowing that one of the principles is patriotic enough that comes to save the country when it's in the brink of collapse. And then the other one would also say, we are looking towards having a government of national unity for inclusionary purposes. All in all, that interests were threatened that needed to be safeguarded.
Absolutely. Thank you. Wakili, I'll do this, and then Oscar, you'll also pick it from there. When you talk of Daily Nation, and Standard is more or less the same thing, pain of defending Ruto and his ways. That's also on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Pain of defending Ruto and his ways. We have Oparanya here and Joho. And you remember what Junet Mohammed asked Oparanya? That you are in the front line, and it was a common question that he asked the two of them, that they were not defending, actually they were opposing the Kenya Kwanza administration in totality. So what are you going to do differently? And we could hear how the two gentlemen answered these questions. But now, Wakili, based on that headline and this Daily Nation as well, face behind Ruto Raila political deal, you can take it away, and then Oscar, you'll also take it away from there.
Well, thank you. We did not start our lives on this geographical setup as Kenyans. Kenya never existed. It exists after some people in Germany during the scramble of Africa parceled out Africa into fiefdoms, geographical fiefdoms, which they call countries. Born was Kenya, Tanzania, Cameroon, many other African countries. And those boundaries were purely skewed to the prism of what a white man would want. And therefore many communities were put together in that geographical fiefdoms and put together in a country called Kenya. What will be eventually a country called Kenya, that's where we are. In those setups, which is about 60 years ago, we didn't have a system that gelled us, but we had relationship between communities, both that were good or bad. And we defined ourselves in our own African social setups. When we were put together, we were introduced to systems of governance, establish what they would call civilized system of governance. And one of them that has become dominant today is democracy. Democracy, therefore, was planted upon us, not as an ideal, but as a system of governance that has been tried elsewhere, failed and sometimes succeeded. But for us here, democracy means that after every cycle of certain number of years, meaning 5 years for us, we need to come together and divide ourselves into certain interests, such as then we bias ourselves towards appointing someone into leadership. That means, therefore, the features of division become emotive for purposes of political dominance and resource mobilization that is skewed towards partisanship. Obviously, because those that put you into power are beholden to the heart and mind of whoever is put into leadership. But then in that setup also, the complication is we have what we call political parties that ensue from the tribal and ethnic biases that we have that purport to congregate into nationalism, such as then to sponsor someone into the executive aspects of the country, be it at national or the executive levels. Suffice it to say that the folly of democracy means divide yourselves so that then you can rule yourselves. In a sense, therefore, after, and that's a very emotive process, because it is beholden into one, the lifestyles, and two, the access to resources that are being managed by whoever gets into leadership. If the white man would
come back today, would he be happy?
Well, I don't think he'll be happy or disappointed, because what is expected is, again, this democracy being a tool of trade, a tool of governance from somewhere out of this country, is also beholden to certain aspects of it from those countries. So a lot of what happens is it's municipal, it's local.
Yes.
But then extrajudicial issues, extraterritorial issues from other countries also influence what democracy is. That's why the institutions that purport to help, but again, purport to direct how democracy will be time after time, depending on the global political environment. But coming back to the local situation that we are discussing today here, what it means is that divide yourself within your ethnic and emotional biases, which are not prescribed in law. Because if I'm a Luo and I vote a Luo, I'm right. I mean, there's nothing illegal in it or unconstitutional in it. And if I vote so-and-so because he paid school fees for so-and-so, or is a clan that is married to so-and-so, I mean, you have all those manner of choices to make. But they are not the ideals of democracy.
Now that's emotional nourishment.
Yes, they are not the ideals of democracy. Now, politics, therefore, is purported in an ideal, for instance, by Aristotle, that it is the process to which the citizens and subjects are persuaded through words and acts. So when I come to church and donate money, I'm persuading you into something. And when I say I will build you a road in the manner that we've had, and there'll be this and this in 100 days, I put the Bible down, there'll be this and this. That is the art of persuasion. So that's Aristotle's confinement of what democracy in an ideal situation should be. And it is devoid of violence.
Yes.
So therefore, democracy and violence cannot move together. They can't. At least according to Max Weber and according to Aristotle. So when there's violence, it threatens democracy. But then democracy is such that it divides you, hoping that the elasticity of division is such that after the activity of the political activities of an election, you can still come together. In this country, that fissure of division, which is ethnic, the closest we have and the immediate fissure we have is ethnic. We vote on ethnic lines. Either ethnic biases that that have come together or have been separated. Now, after election, the emotive aspect of it does not get healed immediately. It therefore continues to influence society in terms of the immediate packaging of what will be the eventual governance. For instance, when you put in government, you put in first your bodies, but you think about the ethnicity and the regions. So then you realize in the first instance, for instance, of Kenya Kwanza, Luo, the ethnic Luo did not get a lot of positions, but the ethnic Mount Kenya got a lot of seats on account of the political situation as was then. Then the emotions proceeded and there was complaint of who you put into governance. However, when this didn't work, because as this was being fixed, because that's politics, as this was being fixed, the fissure of ethnicity died down on account of the acceptance that we need to move on. Then there was a generational discrimination where a certain generation, the Gen Zs, found themselves outside governance on account of the fact that they have gone to school, they did what was expected of them. My daughter, my son, go to school so that you get a good job. That promise never happened up to today. And that is the friction that came. However, the political class up there had not settled or was threatened by this generational friction. On account of that, there was a quick coalition of the other generational political class. Not generation, but generation and political class having been fused, such as to fix that. So the semblance of what has been fixed today, is that the generations above the Gen Zs have fixed the country into what will be looked at peaceable. The only thing that has not must be seen as having dominant is that the political class as a generation. The generation by the political class have refused, are seen to be the ones that are fixing this.
Has it been?
Well, I do think in the interim, it has been fixed. But in the long time, the problems that are in the society today, looking at the politics, has not been fixed. And therefore, what will happen is if a trigger point reaches, such as the finance bill, a trigger point reaches, then that excites the political activities again.
Oscar?
Yeah, again, I pick it from where Wakili comes from, of how we built democracy. And you know, democracy is like from where he says some people sat somewhere, and then democracy is originated from Greece and all this, you know, the demos and the, you know, but in our context, where are we? Are we able to say that whatever we've had has achieved? What we lacked, for example, from whatever we got out of 2022, those procedures that we did to select a government was not bringing out merit, because we were only playing around ethnic emotions and what have you, which at the end of the day, you end up with a government where we ended up with a cabinet, for example, that was awarding people who were loyalists to the leader and who supported that leader then. But in the long run, was it able to give us the happiness and the good services that the people wanted? It was not going to achieve that one, and it didn't achieve that one. And 2 years down the line, somebody came and said, in the name of what we say, the Gen Z and what have you, say that, oh, look, there's a problem somewhere. So the system actually, apart from what Daniel and Wakili talks about, that the political class wanted something. But again, the system wanted some stability.
The political wanted something, but what about Wanjiku? Because Wanjiku is speaking out loud now.
You see, to be honest, I just want to be, today I want to just be a bit of the devil workshop. Like, what could we have done? Because, for example, we needed stability. I personally, as Oscar, I supported that Gen Z movement. But I knew it was not really easy to, when they decided to go, Ruto must go. At that level, I said, wait a minute. Are we going to achieve this? Then what? Then now, the president and the management tried so much to reach whoever was there discussing it. But they say this guy, where they're operating is so deep. Deep as in X spaces, for example, Victor. We were not able to reach where the government was not able to reach where they were. And they were tribeless. Apart from being tribeless, they were partyless, and whatever happened. So what the governance that we had of the day needed was actually stability. In whichever way that they were able to get it. And actually, to be honest,
let's take a break. Let's take a break.
I would forget.
Let's take a break.
Never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Colda,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hadija ai, nani especially ukisonga.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with our music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
All right, welcome back. And Oscar, you are on the floor of the house. Your mic is on. Go ahead.
Yes, I was saying that I want to be the devil's workshop today because we actually needed what we call intellectual capital in cabinet. And 30%, I think we might get it.
Yes.
30% or 40% we might get it. From the vetting, when I watched the vetting, I gave it a benefit of doubt that probably somebody will pull. You know, for example, when you get a minority, like 30% inside government, they're not going to change exactly the infrastructure completely, but they're going to pull it. Even if you get an election and we have, for example, in South Africa, you have the DE and all this, you know, they're not going to change ANC DNA and idea, but they're going to pull it kidogo. So I believe that the 30% we've gotten into cabinet are going to pull the reasoning. Pull it down kidogo. For example, you know, we were talking about these people getting millions of shillings and going to Eldoret and these people and throwing it out. I think that one is reduced. People taking like governors and people in government using the wrong side of the road, show of opulence, those ones have been challenged by the Gen Z movement. And the Gen Z have achieved a lot of things. We can mention them. For example, I drive and I will be paying, if we don't lose the finance bill, I will be paying almost 20 or 30,000 per year on vehicle circulation fund, if the tax bill could have been. The tax bill was rejected, for example. So the Gen Zs have achieved a lot of things. Bringing this cabinet, sacking the entire cabinet and bringing half of people who think differently.
Right.
People who think differently. That's how I see it. That people who think differently, even in the vetting, they were being asked, this hustler thing, you've been opposed to it, how are you going to deal with it? Because there are people who think differently. So I think the government thinking will be tilted towards
and your 1 minute is over.
And what, can I just finish?
No.
I think William Ruto said that let's reason together. And we are on the table to reason together. If it works, we yet to know.
You will answer this question. Do you think that was the real idea of Gen Z's Mandamano? Okay. Come, let's reason together. Or, because our topic of discussion is political opportunity. That's what I'm talking about. Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, Oscar, it's quite difficult to be in the devil's workshop. I mean, I can imagine what that workshop looks like. And that probably is exemplified by how it's difficult to say how it looks like and what is entailed there. But
there are so many high voltage machines in that workshop.
But look, I for sure, especially what Gidi was talking about, that in the definition of socio-political movements, and I think in how they muted to challenge a whole entire political system, it's quite an interesting topic to observe. Because one is looking at the struggle that we have now, because you're talking about political opportunities. You've asked a very important questions. Was this socio-political movements, did it achieve its objective actually? What was it like when it begins? So here is a conversation that begins around governance issues and internal accountability. You know, that genuinely we have to have a government that listens. Taking into what happened last year, you know, fuel levy issues and, you know, housing issues that people rejected on public participation, but the parliament bulldozed its ways and passed it through. So a generation that was inspired to make sure to understand, to hold the government account, realized that is indeed it is important that people's power can win its way. And then you can have a conversation that compels government to withdraw certain clauses that were unimaginable before. And learning from that then becomes a success, and after success. I have been for sure, because of these platforms that we are called sometimes to, deliberate on the spaces that these particular conversations are held. I have been asking, good guys, do we have a logical conversation that leads to a logical conclusion? For example, if we are talking about a finance bill, if we are talking about governance issues, for example, the constitution of IBC, important structures, why do we say Ruto must go? What is the issue that leads to a logical conclusion? Talking about, remember there's a time they were even talking about, can we have the whole of this government go? Then what? You understand? Those particular logical questions that come with a clear and understanding of a political process, how it works. Then you see that conversation begin to mutate, and then there was an understanding that we need to target certain procedural processes with this particular movement. However, just like Gideon is talking about, one of these contemporary theories around democratic governance and around, internal democratic rules. I am looking at the idea that Karl Marx is equally saying that these particular issues are inspired by contemporary conflicts. We are having these as a conflicting issues, whether the Gen Zs, even internal issues within themselves. The idea that sometimes we lose to define what is inspiring a movement. The idea that sometimes we even lose to define, do you think that particular movement was inspired by Gen Z themselves, which is not a homogeneous movement. It wasn't. So the idea that we think that, I've heard Oscar talking about, these are Gen Zs. I mean, there was a generational movement. And I'm for sure saying, Githy could have been in that movement as well. Anyone could have been in that movement. Those are not Gen Z movement. So the idea to struggle to understand what is the nature of this socio-political movement? What is it going to achieve? By the lack of that, that is why I say there was a clear understanding. Lack of that understanding led to a political hijacking. Because we are talking about political opportunities. Who then ripped into the issues of this particular contemporary movement?
Yes.
Who was the gainer?
Yes.
It wasn't the people that were there. That is why you splashed in the newspapers. There's still an issue to go to Nane because the movement are feeling we've not reached to the ultimate objective of what this particular process was hijacked. Was it hijacked because we were faceless? We were leaderless? We were leaders with impact. We didn't have, somebody to front into this conversation so that they speak for us. So those are actually gray areas in these socio-political movements that then mutated to something that we cannot understand. And who gains is a political class.
Okay, Wakili, go ahead. Because look at it this way. When you look at political opportunities, Gen Z, whatever they're trying to talk about in their checklist, what they wanted, somebody would argue that somebody took advantage of that situation. And the fact that it was an amorphous kind of movement, nobody would easily put his or her finger on Kitty's head or Rogo's head or Oscar's head and say that, you are the leader, so what do you want? So perhaps somebody took an opportunity of that, and now we're here reshuffling the cabinet, bringing back some people, vetting some people who are opposed to the same government now they are into. That's what I'm talking about, political opportunities. What are the successes and the failures of taking that opportunity and bringing those people on board?
You see, in science, for every action, there's a reaction. Obviously, society reacts in a certain way. Even now, if I say something to you, there's a way you react to me, depending on how those words will be. There could be violence in words, there could be peace in words. And remember, we're in this world out of survival of the fit, for fitness, therefore, and the dominant text space and opportunities. Notwithstanding who created the opportunity, if it's available, you need to occupy it. So if you see food, you need to eat because you need to survive, whether you brought the food yourself or somebody has brought it. And why do we have laws? We have laws for everything we think ought to be organized because of creating of the element of relationship, either from person to person or person with those that are in leadership. So here's the deal. How we've organized ourselves now is that we are a society where we contribute money like a chama into a pool. That pool is called the consolidated fund. When that money is not enough, we borrow our neighbors or our friends or whoever who has the appetite and ability and capacity to give us the money. And then we put in people, some heads there, to distribute the money. Some of them are called the cabinet, some of them are called whatever public officers, principal secretaries, led by an executive authority. That executive authority therefore mans the money that we give them. And that's the emotional relationship between those that are in leadership and those that are being led, or the subjects. But we have also put in measures. Like, for instance, we have put in people in what will be the ultimate or the highest place of congregation by society, called representatives. These people we've divided into two. We have the Senate out there, and we have members of parliament. They are supposed to speak for us. Relational to the executive, who then have our money. When we put them there, we have sent them for certain things. We call it development, which means there are certain things that we have taken away from ourselves. We have taken away the ability to make roads because we contribute money for somebody to do it, to build schools and to do so on and so forth. We call it development. But this is actually money in terms of a purchase, more like a normal transaction, where I give you money for purposes of giving me services or goods. So I have a legitimate expectation that when I give you the money, and before I gave you the money, we had a discussion, meaning before elections. You came with your manifesto, and you said, hang on, we will do this and this and this when we get to power. Meaning, give me your money at that time so that I can do the following things. That becomes I would say it's a socio-political contract that cannot be enforced in law. It is enforced through a political process because it remains socio-political. It's not legal. Now, how we've married that to in our society, we've got the Constitution and said in the Constitution there is something called Article 1, where the power remains with the people. Now, because we can't enforce that socio-political contract in court, because you can't go to Kenya Kwanza and enforce those things that they've done, we therefore have reserved the right of picketing. Article 1, that's why it's Article 1. You read it with so many other articles, Article 37, Article, whatever it is. Now, we therefore enforce it through public participation initially. That's probably the best environment to enforce such social political contract, because you have to come back to us and we tell you what to go and do with our money. But if you don't, then we go back to the streets. That's where we had reached. So it is very constitutional. In fact, it's a constitutional calling to go back and enforce what is a social political contract, or would be a social political contract.
Yes.
Now, in that context and in that space, when you are picketing, you emotionalize. When you emotionalize, therefore, there is violent content, which is language and acts. When that happens, it comes back to what I've said. You threaten democracy, but you threaten existentialism. Those that existed get threatened by that exercise of sovereignty, because you've taken power. It means you've taken power from those that are delegated to and come back to it to exercise it yourself directly. And that's friction. The friction, therefore, between the subjects and those that are in leadership is a constant in any government. India has gone through that many years ago. In fact, there were civil wars on account of that. The Shahs, the Patels have been individuals mutated into families until they came into clans. And now they're called Patels, they're called Shahs. The Odingas may mutate into such a thing. So one day, out there 300 years, there'll be the Odinga clan or something like that. That has continued to rule. And the Kenyattas that have continued to rule. And they're big, big families. That's like we have the Patels and the Shahs now. And so on and so forth. So that is probably a name that remains dominantly in politics in terms of leadership. Now, why then are we saying, like for instance, in the last election we had Hustler versus
the dynasty?
Yes, dynasty. It's on account of those names that we continue to have all over the world. Now, contextually, therefore, now coming to the question that you had asked, in our society, an ideal situation will never exist. Friction will be constant because of the competing interests on account of the emotive relationship. I give you, you must give back, of the demands of the citizens. These demands are ordinarily genuine, but they have a pattern in that if you're in leadership, the social-political contract we have described gets compensated more than if you have no representation. For instance, and these are the words of the deputy president. He said, in all this setup, when Raila Odinga was bringing his people, or had discussed to bring in what was termed as a broad-based government, I had to take care of my Mount Kenya interests and let my people there. You know why? It's because if you don't fight to be on the table and to preserve This means the donation for fulfilling the socio-political contract gets threatened, and therefore you lower the money in which resources stream to you, and they go elsewhere.
And now that's what I'm talking about, the political opportunity, because the politicians read the mood on the ground. Wanjiku perhaps had a very good intention of going to the streets, as per the constitution.
Let me finish. Let me finish to conclude, so that I know they'll pick it up from there. This way, the Gen Zs will learn this the hard way. And let me say this. The Gen Zs, in my master I did something called negotiation. The art of negotiation is such that you have a protagonist before you.
Yes.
You negotiate with a person you are competing with. When the person makes a move, you have to make a move to occupy the space he's made. Continuously until there's a way now the elasticity has
And that's
stopped.
what Gen Z did not learn.
They did not do that because when the CSS are dropped, when the finance bill is dropped, when the cabinet has been dropped, what is it for you?
Daniel, what do you want to say?
The space that was created after the cabinet has been dropped was occupied by the politicians because there was nobody to occupy.
Okay, Daniel.
No, but I think the Gen Zs created a space for serious contemporary negotiation. I mean, that's what I said. We are discussing with the Oscar sometimes before we get to the set, and taking stock of what particular interest spaces that were created by Gen Zs. And to some level, I agree and appreciate that even the revolutionaries of how socio-political movement has reached to this place, it was too quick for political class to catch up with them. And one of the things I actually agree with is that we missed that conversation. And those who are in the streets, those who are supporting them in the street, missed an opportunity that I don't think that it was not because of their lack of appreciation, but it was because they made it so. For example, if we are talking about learning, the Gen Zs had learned that equally there had been similar socio-political movements that has happened. IBC must go, post-election violence, but it seems that these are always geared towards a political settlement and negotiation because a leader is already identified. You can pinpoint a leader and say, come, we negotiate for a government of national unity. We negotiate for, grand coalition government. So learning from that and from historical, and let me say something, this particular movement was inspired by people who know the space, people who some of them are very learned and could break the finance bill in 5 minutes for you to understand. They could invite these particular technologies that government could not even imagine this is happening.
Yes.
But my point of departure is actually very clear. While that opportunity might seem to have missed, I don't think they missed the opportunity. I think they understood that this has been a political process, that opportunists take advantage of when they're just about to.
That's what Wakili is saying.
I don't believe for this particular moment.
That's what Wakili is saying, that they will have to learn the hard way.
Until now, I don't believe that Gen Zs have no leader. I don't believe so. I just believe that they are learning that indeed a political process has been hijacked simply because we unveil our leaders.
So your point that they will learn the hard way is different from what Wakili is saying?
I think so.
Okay, Oscar.
Victor, I think we are now agreeing with these guys, but I think they spend so much of their time in these X spaces. I spent a lot of time also in those spaces, but I realized that politics is not a zero-sum game. We must work towards a particular, we want to achieve something. There must be some outcomes. So, Daniel, as much as you spend time in these X spaces discussing whatever is being discussed there, it is good, but there are things that we have to call it out. For example, Daniel talks about hijacking. I think we should desist from this one. One day, for example, was asked in the vetting by Umbui, who was his deputy, the member of parliament for Kathiani, that are you not hijacking the young people's movement by making use of opportunity to get into government when the struggle was theirs? What was Wandai's answer to this question? He said that no, I think the struggles we had in the previous Mandamano and the struggles that the Gen Zs have are just equal.
No, they are not.
No.
I'm saying that is the
I'm referring to this vetting thing because I'm talking about what one day. I'm not talking about what I yeah. So that was his answer, and I think, for example, that whatever that was happening in the Unga Revolution, that was 2 years ago, before it was disrupted by government, and whatever the Gen Zs, these are grievances in society.
And sometimes somebody needed to take lead of the process. The only strength of the Gen Z movement, for example, they were indomitable. Why are they indomitable? Because they created a system where they were faceless. Dealing with it was very difficult.
Yes.
But what Wakili said, that the emotion of the tribe, the emotion of ethnic group, and now we cannot even discuss these things in isolation to what Deputy President is talking about and about the impending. It cannot be discussed in isolation. And now you see we're going back to the tribe. To be honest with you, first time we have a generational system trying to disrupt the political system. This is the first time. Yeah. We've always had, although we had the young tax of Orengos and what have you, our political mobilization has always been based on the tribe.
Yeah.
In Europe, the political mobilization is based on class. For example, if you go to Sweden, we have the Social Democratic Party. It's the Labour's Party, the Workers' Party. Against, it's a class, you know. So this, we tried to, I think William Ruto tried to talk to the class when he talks about the hustler movement. And actually most of the Gen Zs, the ones who participated in that particular vote, if you look at it, they supported the current government against the dynasty. I don't know if...
In what sense?
I've been listening to you know, the borders and the mamambogas, the Wanjiko you're talking about. You know, sometimes we mix between now the Gen Zs who are in the streets sometimes based on what we want to achieve with the mamambogas and the borders were on TV saying, sisi tulipigia William Ruto lakini ametudisappoint. So the thing is, the dynasties, people who are called the dynasties, who are now seen to have come into government, this 30%, who are not supportive of William Ruto, and they didn't support that government.
So this is a question to all of you. So do you think having another set of government, the cabinet now, is going to cure what we've been faced with for the last, the last 2.5 years? We are halfway through the journey, and Mandamano, actually, two of them now.
My short answer, Victor.
In 1 second, because I want to chime in now.
There is a temporary stability that actually the government and President William Ruto dearly needed. He is going to achieve it. From the vetting, I saw the level of vetting, and I told you we needed to bring in intellectual capital into governance.
All right.
Because the people who were in the first cabinet, that one was dearly missing, the intellectual capital, where the know-how and technology and all these things take center space. Reasoning take center space.
Oscar,
this one will help us get temporary stability.
Oscar, these are bosom buddies.
Yes?
These are bosom buddies.
Yes.
You can imagine Speaker of the National Assembly interviewing Muturi.
Yes.
For a position. Okay.
Yeah.
Just that. Just that.
I mean,
for me, it brings that in...
Okay, hold. Daniel, he talked about temporary stability. So then how do we cure this? So that we don't have temporary stability, we have got a long-lasting stability in our political frame.
Wakili has given a very clear framework that we are a constitutional democracy that abides in the rule of law. Most of these particular things we are talking about is a clear trying to settle constitutional process with a political process. And I think we discussed that very well. Politicians know that very well. That even though we seem to be bridging the constitutional provision, but it seems because the political temperatures are high, let's cure it by a political process.
But don't you think the impeachment of the president should be legal?
We have been recycling that throughout and throughout.
What are you asking, Oscar?
Victor?
I'm asking him that impeachment of the president is a constitutional process, and Ruto must be done through the constitution.
That's what I said. I said it before that I am giving my fair assessment to both sides, Victor. I've been saying this before, that even for the Gen Zs that I supported the demonstration, I have been interested in asking them, can we have a logical conclusion to issues? So while I speak about on this other end, I must also be fair. Talking about, it was not them. It is not clear, but also on this government side, it is quite clear to tell the government, like you're saying, the political opportunities that we are seeing. Victor, vetting, everyone is within the public pavilion. Everyone is all, these stations are streaming political vetting that is going on. For the nominees, quite clear it is not something that we can say is going to yield to get any leaders who can be able to, compete fairly and who are able to give us, good service delivery. You've just been said a process, the end of a process, the beginning of a process can equally yield to the end of it. And you know what we are going to get? You are talking about the vetting itself. I believe that whatever Mbadi is saying that we are giving the president his skunk, all right? Yeah. We are having a lot of skunks that were given to the president. Still, a lot of them coming in. From what we are vetting in. Joho was a deputy for Wetangula in the Foreign Affairs some times ago, right? They were making references yesterday as they were vetting, all right? For what was the issue about American issues and how somebody was granted visa yesterday. You're looking at issues on how, bodies are just, there is no serious vetting that is going on for cabinet nominees. And I wish, from your proposal and from what George was talking about, can we then have an independent, a thorough, people-driven processes that can vet these political appointees? Because this is where we lose the opportunity for us as a nation to make sure that we confirm leaders who are able to perform in the offices and give us service delivery. I foresee that is still troublesome. But this is a political process that is trying to settle a legal issue. It is not right. And we are not going to find the leaders that we want.
Okay. Okay.
And that is probably the space that the Gen Z left. What they should have done is prescribe, when you have removed the cabinet, prescribe how the cabinet should be fixed. And by that time, they had everyone. They have instilled fear in everyone. And let me tell you what leadership is. Leadership is the situation, ideal leadership is the situation where the citizens persistently, consistently, insistently, they prescribe fear into the hearts of those in leadership. Without fear, leaders become absolute terrors. And therefore, they must fear the people for them first to listen and to act at the whim of the people and not their own whim. So whether I like something thinking is best for the people and the people don't like it, I have to, in a competitive environment, I have to sit that because the people want it differently. And let me come to the second issue as to how we fix this.
Before you continue, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have tea in your cup?
Yes, I do have. I take a sip. Let me take a sip.
We'll take a break. We'll break.
Oh, that was for break.
Niaje mam, umeupdate token meter yetu?
Ai, kuupdate token meter yetu? Hiyo ni nini?
Acha nikuchanue mam. Na hii text tulipata from Kenya Power. Kwa hiyo text kuna code 2. Weka code ya kwanza ku reset token meter. Alafu weka code ya pili ku update token meter.
Safaricom, proud sponsor of Team
Live with a spike of their own.
The Americans saved 4 match points, but on the 5th attempt, Australia, in the tightest of affairs, claimed the gold medal.
And the French competitor made the better start, winning the opening set. But Tom was always in touch, and they were level at 4-4 with 1 set remaining. A 10 just on the line was enough for Babylon to take the win, and with it, the bronze medal. A celebration worthy of France's first ever women's individual Olympic archery medal.
But the South Americans were dominant, and it was 30-19 to Brazil. They needed the win and achieved it.
Safaricom, proud sponsor of Team Kenya at the Olympics.
To the final bit of this discussion. Time flies when you're having a good time. It's called men talk. Okay. So, Wakili, in 1 minute, maybe just finish what you're saying.
Just to finalize on where I was, two issues that I wanted to conclude on that aspect was this. That we had a good opportunity to fix some of these things that we're facing today when we had very good proposals in the BBI. The problem with the BBI is that there were political conveniences at that time that had to be fixed, and therefore they were introduced into the BBI, and therefore added process of BBI itself by the president, who then purported to say that it was like any other Kenyan, and it was a people-driven process because he was one of the people of Kenya. And our position in court at that time, and I know we had a robust discussion, the conclusion by the Supreme Court is that a president is not one of the prime movers of a people-driven process, because once you're a president and you're in leadership and you propose to change how people are going to be led, and yet you're already leading them, you have a bias and a dominant position as against the people. So it can be people-led process in that context. So people-led context are the subjects. In that context, subjects are the people and not you. When we elevate you into a position of president or another person, we call you a state officer, a public, or for whatever reason. You have a duty unto the people in that relational aspect. But some of the things that we propose there, for instance, was to fix the executive. When we introduce the executive, as other stable democracies have done, you separate the president as a crown. In terms of state nation, and also as the executive aspect. The executive will be the prime minister, who then on a day-to-day runs the position. But the symbolism of presidency is the entire state nation. And that's the friction we constantly have when those two positions form themselves into conflict. Once we fix the executive, I think we have a lot of the things that we've managed to have in the Constitution. But when we fix the executive eventually and separate those two positions, so that, for instance, you have Raila Odinga, I'm not suggesting that is what will happen. Raila Odinga at the top, and he will take certain positions, but the one who runs the government is probably William Ruto, and so on and so forth. We will have those checks and balances more clarified up there. But for today, I think we have a problem. The other issue I wanted to run very fast and probably remind Kenyans is that don't forget this. The Constitution provides that all sovereign power belongs to the people, and I've said this to you before. Sovereign power, this is Article 1, Sub-Article 2, the people may exercise their sovereign power, it's a choice, exercise sovereign power either directly, remember, the word is directly, or through their democratically elected representative. I repeat, the people may exercise their sovereign power either directly, one, or, the word use or, he will sit in the meeting, or he will sit in the meeting. The word or disjoins. It creates something called preference. So when I say he will sit in the meeting, or him, he sits first. In his absence, he sits. So when the Constitution says delegated power may be exercised directly, it means the people will exercise it directly. First. And it didn't say elections only. All sovereign power, constantly is in the people. They exercise it first. Secondly is the member of parliament. They can either delegate it or the MCA. The MCA is not more important than the person himself. But you see, in fact, the MCA comes second after the people. That reminds me of what you said.
that political leaders will instill that fear so that they look supreme over Wanjiku.
What you do as a leader in politics, the bad behavior stems from one character that is all over the world. You must conquer and dominate.
That's
for
exactly
you to lead. Yet the people are the ones with the power.
Just to pick it from where Wakili is, we've been disappointed on, I think this was Charles Nyachai Commission, which was supposed to operationalize the Constitution. I've always thought that Article 1, because what the Gen Zs were trying to do in occupying parliament and trying to access power directly, was not operationalized in that an article by either Article 1 of the Constitution. So when you occupy parliament or occupy state house or occupy government, and then you want to exercise your power directly, how? You know, so the how should be answered. Maybe what should happen, Wakili should be able to draft an article, a bill in parliament. Article 1. The Article 1 is not operationalized. 5 years of Nyachai Commission, they didn't do, and government and parliament, out of 13 years of this new constitution, we've not operationalized Article 1. So there's no way you can exercise power directly according to that article on the Constitution.
Let me first compliment what you said, but again with a rider. Article 1 is absolute as it is. And remember, it's Article 1 because... However, let me put it this way. There can be dictatorship by the majority.
Yes.
It's very possible. Jesus was prosecuted by the people. And the people on Clarion Call is crucify him. All right? That's what we were doing. Crucify Ruto. And he had no right to be had in that space of Article 1. You understand? So Article 1 is good, but it can also be abused. The prone to abuse anything is available. So the fact that there's Article 1, it doesn't mean that it has no rough edges where it can be abused. And the moment as it is, because that which is not included is deemed to be excluded in law. If it doesn't give any safeguards, any exclusions, then everything is included, including occupying parliament.
I want to ask you, Oscar, I want him to exit. Then you'll find it for us, Daniel. Question, very quickly. So, a second shot, new cabinet in place, do you think it's going to achieve?
Yes, it's going to achieve because it is not about, and I answered this one to Gachagua and the rest, it's not about who to govern. That is not the question.
It's about
how to govern.
Hey, Oscar, no.
It's about how to govern.
It is not
who to govern.
Oscar.
Not who. It doesn't matter who is governing. It is how do we govern. How do we govern is all these things were talked about, accountability, justice, inclusion. It's about how we the thinking of government. It is how we govern, not who. Because when you talk about shareholders, who voted against us, who is there, it's not about who, UDA, ODM, it's not about who to govern. It is how to govern.
Okay.
How to govern in a democratic process and in democracy. And Wakili will tell you, democracy, the majority have their way,
I kept on contesting.
I want you to have your way out of the studio.
Why is he uncontested?
I want to have your way out of the studio. Oscar is going to our sister station. Oscar, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
You can also join him on the other side for him to have his say on that side. But right now he's having his way. Thank you very much, Oscar. So Daniel, just to pick it from where he's left. Now, as we come to a close, at the end of the day, the new cabinet is going to be crafted, he's going to have his house in order. Another question I will ask the two of you now. Do you think it's going to bear any fruit? Having in mind that Gen Z are saying that whatever they agitated for is not yet, and you gentlemen talked about, he actually is the one who talked about temporary stability. I don't know what you mean.
I mean, my sentiment is still the same. Having acknowledged, and I think Judge Giddy has described it, what the law, requires out of, an expected functioning government or functioning democracy.
Right.
Because as we perceive we are, Oscar is just living, and I wanted to challenge that particular notion. That is not about who. We've had a situation where we have big men, big statement against, small institution or small, democracies. We have this is how dictators thrive, by the fact that they are big. You see, they are the who, and since that particular system is not well defined, then the abuse of power comes in because they are big men, but with small institutions. And this is what he reinforced by saying it is not about who. But I think we really need to discuss who, because I mean, Chapter 6 is telling us exactly who this who is.
And Article 10.
You know, and Article 10, the national values and principles, they are telling us who. So when we have an idea of saying it doesn't matter, it has to matter, because that is how we abuse, we abuse the constitutional provisions. But again, the reason why I'm happy with this conversation actually, because we are trying to get a balance between what is this political requirement vis-a-vis what the legal requirement requires for the stability of a democracy, like the one that we are having in Kenya. And this is why I'm foreseeing a situation where we had an opportunity. And to some level, I agree with the panel. There are small missed opportunities that the generation movement did not see. For example, if we are looking at reconstitution of the cabinet, then I think that was a conversation on defining then how do we get other people to occupy those particular spaces. What is the processes that can be very clear, that can be very credible, and can be checks that can make sure that we get good leaders, or those who are appointed back to the cabinet are able to look through this particular system that is able to yield to a leader that then do not define who they are vis-a-vis what they should do. I think that is, and I agree with George, that sometimes we missed an opportunity like that to have that conversation at that particular time. Secondly is about, does, you know, like cabinet secretaries serves at the pleasure of who? The appointing authority. In this particular context, the appointing authority is the president. They have to go through that particular system and then they will be finally confirmed. That particular system in itself is a purely a political process that will yield to a political appointee. I don't think whether we will have good leaders, even through the vetting particular processes. For me, I think it's just, another,
you know, part of the constitution will have to be amended.
You know, maybe they probably could give us a pointer. Do we have an independent body that could look into and vet that vetting processes, that then we can give the president a pure appointee but do not give him his skunk?
The same way we have got IBC selection panel now coming up, an independent body that after that their term of service expires.
Which is a political process as well, because appointing them into the select panel is a political process in itself.
A quick question as your final word. So out of 10, what should you expect now moving forward?
Are you asking me to rate them or asking me to rate the process?
Not the process. So what should you expect moving forward?
I think the expectation is politically they would be confirmed. There is no, I don't see any objection, because then the speaker was receiving some submission from the members of public, and he could ask question that I am receiving a text message about this so and so. And there was a room for clarification by the cabinet. It seems that everything was very jolly and everything is very meeting. I am actually saying that I don't see any prospect of one being, you know, not being confirmed. I foresee a process where they're being confirmed and they would assume their position. However, the protest would still continue. I don't see them ceding the ground, because one, the Gen Zs are still talking about a powerful representation. They are not represented. That this particular process is still the same political processes that they are antagonizing the government to. So even as there's nane preparation, and there seems people thinking it's going to be another big particular day in this country, then the grievances still remains the same. The processes continue ongoing, and we'll still have a conflict around. You know.
Tumalizia.
Yes, probably I'll sum up on two fronts. One is I think the political decibels can only go higher on account of the fact that we are turning the symmetry of the cycle of leadership into now the election part of it. So we'll have early political decibels for the forthcoming elections. Number two is, I think for the time being, we had a temporary solution for a permanent problem. That problem is not going away. The solution to vet, bringing these people into government, the new faces, were probably to appease a certain part of society and to show some belonging and inclusion. But number three, and most importantly, will be this. I think that the oversight authority of parliament is compromised. It's compromised by interests, it's compromised by the ethnicity and the fiefdoms that have been created there. When parliament coalesces into a unit such that when it comes to vetting, they seem to be rubber stamping the executive without the proper proper checkers as will be. They're not representing the people. But I want to say this, representing the people doesn't mean representing Gen Zs in parliament.
Yeah.
It is representing the people of Kenya and interests of the country. When you place the public interest over the Gen Zs, you are doing what is right, in the sense that it is not their call that should be dominant. It is the Kenyan call. The Kenyan call is now get a temporary solution to have peace, but the permanent call is that even their interests must be taken care of. So I will say this, who should get into cabinet or who should govern is the entry point. Just responding to what our good friend has said. And then how becomes the ultimate. So who is regulated by probably Article 10, and how is regulated by Chapter 5, because how is this public officer has now settled into leadership. But then the type of vetting should be such that the entry points must be through the prism set out in Article 10. I want to probably sum up by saying that Kenya, that there'll be no political friction. Even generational friction, the ethnic friction may mutate into generational friction. After that, there may be something else. We've seen democracies today, probably the established ones with many years of trying out how to establish democracy and get it wrong or right. We have seen even US today has its own frictions.
Yes.
Job opportunities, immigration issues, gun handling and gun possession rights, all those rights on reproductive health, and they also there's even gender divisions. So we will, for as long as we're human beings, the opportunity to divide ourselves is available, and the opportunity to unite ourselves is also available. Suffice it to say, therefore, that we must be keen on checking what unites us more. That would be the ideal, though. What unites more than what divides us, because if what divides us then skews it as greater than that which unites us, we get into trouble in society.
Very well. So what should you expect moving forward? The same question asked Daniel.
I think they'll be confirmed.
They'll be confirmed,
and they ought to be confirmed. If you ask me, you know, we can't micromanage the president on who he brings in to rule. We can only say there'll be checkers. There are people extents that we can't allow. But when he gets it in the man that he has, let's allow him to operation of the government. Ours is to force him. And Article 1 to do at the whim of the Kenyan and not his own whim. And I think
Article 1 is so dear to us. It's so close to us. Daniel, service delivery. The cabinet, once they get approved, and
I mean, the same thing that I've been saying. If we have still weak institutions, the same. They'll find themselves there with a lot of people who are trying to drag them bureaucratically. They're not able to perform. If we do not clean up that system, then there's still equal frustration to people who are going through. It's like you getting them to a dirty container already. They'll probably dirtify themselves.
The biggest institution right now is the Constitution.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I must say this, just to wind up. It is not, it is, the person who rules is more important than, is also important as the product that we get from, and the services we get. So you put a bad person with good institutions, you get a bad product.
That's what Daniel talked about.
Who. The who's and,
Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. Oscar, on his behalf, he's gone to the radio. Asante sana for coming, Oscar, and you can also get to listen to him on the other side. Daniel Orogo, political commentator, as well as a friend of Good Morning Kenya. Asante sana for always coming to the show. And George Kithi, brilliant brains having him here as well, Wakili, advocate of the High Court. All right, so I'm reminded that I did not talk about this front page of the Star, to be fair. On the front page of the Star, Ruto's cabinet picks net worth 10 billion shillings. Ruto's cabinet picks net worth 10 billion shillings. That is, as per the declarations yesterday, with Joho leading the pack with 2.3 billion shillings, and Muuga declares 31 million shillings. There's a gentleman who said that he doesn't have a car. So we wait to see what will happen after he'll get from there. So let's wait and see. That's what happens. So thank you so much for being a part of the show. As we finalize, remember, in politics, there are no principles, just opportunities. That is according to Bill Press. In politics, there are no principles, just opportunities. If you have one, anguka nayo. Hapo ndo tunaanguka na show. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Victor Lowe. Good morning.
Dr. Ochilo Ayacko was born on 10th of September 1968 and brought up in the present-day Migori County. He joined Homabay Secondary School for his O-levels, and after his advanced levels at Alliance High School, he joined the University of Nairobi to study law. In the run-up to the 1997 general election, Ayacko was among the new faces in the National Development Party (NDP) that was led by Raila Odinga, who had reactivated the party after breaking away from Fort Kenya. He vied for the Rongo parliamentary seat as a fresh law graduate, defeating the then flamboyant, eloquent and wealthy KANU politician and cabinet minister Dalmas Otieno. NDP would become the most dominant party in Luo Nyanza from 1997 to 2002. With this win, Ayacko became one of Raila Odinga's most trusted political lieutenants in the Nyanza region. In 1998, he was among the NDP MPs who voted against a no-confidence motion sponsored by James Orengo that had been moved against the then-President Daniel Arap Moi. Following this, Ayacko was part of a select team that was tasked with conducting parliamentary reforms whose objective was to fight for the autonomy of Parliament. It was this team that helped establish the Parliamentary Service Commission and introduce the provision of offices for all MPs. In the 2002 general election, Ochilo was re-elected to Parliament on a NAC ticket and thereafter appointed Minister for Energy in the Kibaki government. His assistant minister was Mwangi Kiunjuri. He served a short stint in the ministry from 2003 to 2004, and in this time he was credited with bringing widespread reforms in the sector, some of which led to international donors and the World Bank restoring their support through the Energy Sector Recovery Project. Ayacko was also credited with strengthening the operations of Kenya Electricity Generating Company KenGen after its detachment from Kenya Power Company. He also spearheaded the phasing out of leaded petrol in the country. Despite orchestrating several reforms in the ministry, on 30th June 2004, President Kibaki executed his first major government reshuffle, and Ford People leader Simeon Nyachai was appointed the new Minister for Energy. Ayacko was transferred to the less powerful Ministry of Sports, Gender and Culture, where he would last only 1 year before being fired from the cabinet for not supporting the government in the 2005 referendum. In the 1 year at the Sports Ministry, Ayacko introduced the sports policy that culminated in the Sports Act and the Gender Policy Act that led to the establishment of the Gender Commission. He was also involved in the successful bid to have the 2011 World Athletics Championships held in Kenya. The 2005 referendum ended his cabinet career after President Kibaki sacked all the ministers who opposed the government-backed draft constitution. In 2007 general election, Ayacko lost the Rongo parliamentary seat to his old rival Dalmas Otieno. After the elections, the Kenya-South Sudan Liaison Office seconded Ayacko to South Sudan as a legal advisor to President Salva Kiir on legislative and constitutional matters. In the coalition government, Ayacko was appointed executive chairman and CEO of the Kenya Nuclear Electricity Board, where he served until 2013. Ayacko made a return to elective politics in 2017 when he unsuccessfully vied for the Migori governorship against incumbent Okoth Obado. In 2018, Ayacko won in a by-election triggered by the death of Migori Senator Ben Oluoch. In the 2022 general election, Ayacko successfully vied for Migori governorship, becoming the governor of Migori County. For the cabinet, I'm Ben Troenjue.
John Musembi Kallo was born in 1931 in Kisakini village, Kasinga, in what was Iveti South constituency of Machakos district. He went to Kasinga and Ngelani primary schools and later joined Kiba High School in Machakos before proceeding to India for a degree in business administration. Upon returning to Kenya, he joined the provincial administration in the office of the president and served as a district officer before he was promoted to district commissioner, working in several districts across the country. Kallo then left provincial administration upon appointment as a director in the Department of Immigration. Kallo reached his pinnacle in the civil service in 1970 when he was appointed as permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health. Barely 4 years later, Kallo quit the civil service for politics but failed to wrestle the Iveti North parliamentary seat from Aaron Mutunga. His bid for the seat in the subsequent 1979 general election and in the 1983 snap polls flopped too. Kallo's third stab at a parliamentary seat finally bore fruit in the 1988 general election, where he clinched the newly created Machakos town constituency and retained it in the 1992 polls. He was then appointed Minister for Health, and during the 3 years he held that portfolio, he hosted President Moi at several fundraisers in aid of schools and churches in Machakos town constituency, signaling their close ties. As Health Minister, Kallo is credited with expanding hospitals and establishing new ones across the country. He was, however, accused of being the mastermind in the infamous Makueni-Mukurweini mix-up, where he allegedly tricked out Mukurweini in Nyeri district of a multi-million shilling hospital that he instead put up in Makueni in his native Machakos district. 3 years into his appointment as Minister for Health, however, Kallo lost his voice and was diagnosed with throat cancer, which led to his death in 1995. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
France welcomes the world for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. In this edition, heroic Team Kenya is pushing boundaries as well.
An Olympic gold medal.
More significantly, Kenya is intent on claiming victory at the quadrennial sporting event comprising of 45 sports that will be staged from 24th of July through to the 11th of August. Here comes a dose for everyone.
Yes, it is!
For the athlete, it is chasing a dream of a lifetime. And for the fan, witness history in the making, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
.34 minutes past the hour. This is a Good Morning Kenya. Welcome back. My name is Mike Migu. From politics now, we shift gears and talk about matters real estate. We are looking at real estate investments in Kenya. And to help me in this conversation in studio, I'm joined by King Max Mbarire, who is a marketing director at SSS Developers and Reportage, Properties. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Mike.
How are you doing?
Thank you for having me in studio today.
Yes. This is your first time at KBC?
No. I've been here before.
But on Good Morning Kenya?
On Good Morning, this is my first time.
Yeah, karibu sana.
Asante sana. Yes.
We are talking matters real estate.
Yes.
Let's start with what is the state of real estate investments within the country, and especially maybe in Nairobi?
So what we've been able to observe, Mike, over the past 10 years is Kenyans want to diversify their investments. So after people have done money markets, people now are looking into the real estate sector. So Kenyans are basically buying properties for two reasons. They're buying properties either for residential purposes and for investment purposes. But we have seen an upsurge in Kenyans buying investment for properties for investment purposes over the last 10 years. So this is a market that is growing at a very, very, very high rate.
Yes. So there is potential within the real estate investment within the country?
Definitely, Mike, there is potential in real estate in Kenya. So if you look at places like Westlands, Kilimani, and even other places in our country, you can see that there is mushrooming properties coming up.
Yeah.
What does this tell you? It tells you there is demand and Kenyans want affordable luxury. Yes.
Does it also mean that investors are finding Kenya to be an ideal destination to do real estate investments?
Yes. Investors, not only Kenyan investors, but international investors are finding Kenya to be a hub where they can put their money in. If you look at our economy, we are the leading economy in sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah.
In terms of real estate investments?
In terms of a growing economy.
Okay.
A growing economy carries with it so many things. Real estate is one of the key sectors that make up the economy of Kenya. Yes.
Let's say I want to own a real estate investment. How much do I need?
Well, you see, Mike, it depends with what your budget is. The first thing that I always ask my clients, especially when I'm vetting my clients, is what budget do you have? For us at Reportage Properties and SSS Developers, we have customized our budget to make it fit the budget for every Kenyan. Yeah? So we sell affordable luxury. Yes.
So there is that aspect of affordability, and as you've also brought about the aspect of luxury. So in terms of luxury, what is it? What is luxury and what is maybe others, so to speak?
That's a very good question, Mike.
Yes.
So let me define what luxury is. Luxury is what are you getting that is different from what is outside there in the market? What are the salient amenities that the property is offering you? Yeah. For example, if you look at our Kenyan project, DG West, that is located in Sports Road, Westlands, we have salient amenities. What are some of these amenities? We have a Moet and Shandon lounge at the rooftop. That will be our cigar lounge at the rooftop. We have a double volume reception. Yeah. We have a swimming pool, to be a heated swimming pool. We have a gym. Yeah. So these are some of the salient things that make a property, let's say, called luxurious. On the other hand, when you're talking about a property that is not luxurious, it's just a property that has basic stuffs, yeah? Something, you know, just a property you have a kitchen, you have, you know, the kawaida things, yes.
So it's moving away from just the normal, let's say, living. When we talk about real estate, there's also the aspect of transforming lives, and one of them is job creation. How has real estate impacted these two aspects?
So real estate employs a lot of people in the Kenyan economy, yeah? And it's one of the job creators that government is relying on. For example, if you look at the government, our president constantly talks about affordable housing. Na vile itasaidia mwananchi wa kawaida, how it will help the common mwananchi. Yeah? When you look at our project, when you look at what we are doing as SSS developers and reportage properties, we are also in the aspect of creating employment. For example, this year, we are going to launch 3 projects of a net worth of more than $150 million that we will inject into the Kenyan economy. This will create 2,000 jobs throughout the market. Yeah, so we are definitely in the business of creating jobs.
So you're not only looking at the aspect of ownership, but also impacting people's lives in way of making livelihood.
Exactly.
Now, how would you say, what are the market dynamics so far in terms of within the real estate in the country?
The market dynamics is we are in a growing economy. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. Yes.
And would you say that towards real estate investment as opposed to yesteryears?
Definitely. Kenyans are definitely looking at real estate, and not only in the Kenyan economy, but also outside the Kenyan economy. And why is this? It's because Kenyans do not want to put all their eggs in one basket. They want a different array, you know? As SSS developers, that is the leading luxury developers in the country currently, we are offering Kenyans not only the opportunity of owning a property here in Kenya, but also owning a property outside the country. For example, on Friday, we just launched a new project called Verdana in Dubai. Yeah, this is a project that can afford Kenyans who want a piece of the outside market to invest there. Yes.
How do you connect Kenyans to such opportunities?
Well, we connect them because we have a footing in 14 countries. Reportage Properties is a company that has a net worth, a market value of more than $7 billion. Last year, we did an annual turnover of $1 billion. This year, Mike, we're expecting to do an annual turnover of $2 billion.
Okay, now, let's look at something else. Kenyans, of course, look at affordability. So what are the factors that affect affordability of a real estate investment from a general perspective?
When we talk about affordability, it's basically, are Kenyans able to buy the property that you have?
Yeah.
And when you look at that, there are several ways you can own a property in Kenya. You can either own a property through mortgage, or you can buy it through cash. So the reason as to why we say affordable payment is because we give Kenyans the ability to pay in installments. So for example, if you want to own a project or if you want to own a home with SSS developers, we are going to give you a 3-year payment plan. So that is affordable to the Kenyan, to the common Kenyan mwananchi. So we do not ask for all the money up front, we ask for it in installments. Yes.
And that is how people
can be able to be home owners. Yes.
Now, for a person who is watching you for the first time and maybe they want to know the tips that are necessary or that they can look out for when they want to get into real estate investments?
Yes, for the common Kenyan looking at me right now, I would give them 5 major tips. The first tip I always tell my clients is research the market. We have seen the market mushrooming up with so many quote-unquote unwanted players, yeah? So research the market. Know the developer who you're going to give your market into. For example, us having a footing in over 14 countries, we have done so many projects, yeah? So we have the financial muscle. So the second part I would like, I usually tell my clients is understand local laws and taxes. Yeah, understand what you understand how the government, what you'll be needed by the government to put into place, because there are several aspects that come into play. Yeah, for example, service charge. If you're owning a unit, you'll need to. The government introduced new laws whereby you need to have a sectional title for the apartment that you're going to have. Those are some of the things you need to understand. Consider the location and infrastructure. Where are you buying this apartment or townhouse into? For example, our project in Westlands, that is DG West, located as Post Road Westlands, at the heart of Westlands, is well located. And why is the location very, very important? Location is important because you also be looking at things such as return on investment on your project. Yeah? There are places you'll buy a unit, you'll have a very low return on investment. But there are places like Westlands whereby you will have a high return on investment, such as 21%. Yeah? And the infrastructure. What infrastructure connects this apartment or this unit that you want to buy? Is it well connected? Are there feeder roads into it? Is there good water? Such kind of things. The other thing is work with trusted professionals. Such as ourselves, SSS developers. And of course, the other thing is assess investment potential. The reason as to why anybody, of course, would want to put money into something is for it to give you money back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why do you think Kenya is a viable real estate investment destination?
I would say, Mike, Kenya is a viable real estate investment because the government policies are favoring this a lot. So, for example, if you look at the real estate sector, before COVID, it was mushrooming. Towards COVID, we hit quite a slow curve, yeah. But post the pandemic, the government has been putting up initiatives that encourage not only Kenyan investors, but international investors to invest. The other thing is the diversification in our economy. We know Kenya as it is mostly is an agricultural economy, but the government has been putting up initiatives to encourage people to encourage other mushrooming sectors of the economy to grow. Real estate is one of them. So I would say those are the two main key factors at why Kenyans should invest. And also the other thing is Kenya is positioned as the leading economy in sub-Saharan Africa. So I think if you're not taking advantage of all these three aspects, you're missing out on a big part of the pie.
In terms of policy within the real estate sector, are there changes that, from your perspective, would help to enhance and take it to a higher notch?
Yes, definitely. I would not say we are perfect as where we are. There's definitely more that needs to be done. Especially, we thank the president for putting down the finance bill, because it was going to hurt us as developers or people in the real estate sector by a very, very big budget. So I think more favorable government policies would encourage more favorable investments. Yes.
Now, let's look at the region. How does Kenyan real estate compare to countries, especially within the Eastern Africa region?
Kenya, just like I've said, Kenya is a leading economy in sub-Saharan Africa. And the reason as to why I would say that is SSS developers and reportage properties, we have a footing in 5 countries within the Africa region and 3 countries within the East African region. So when we compare what we are seeing in Rwanda and in Uganda, as opposed to what we are seeing here in Kenya, this is a mushrooming economy because, number one, our uptake, we've already sold 80% of our current project, that is DG West in Sports Road Westlands, as compared to the other countries in other regions. Yes.
When people hear about real estate, then they hear about mortgage. Some of them are afraid. Maybe it would be important for you to talk a little bit about mortgage and maybe demystify some of the myths that surround the mortgage aspect when it comes to real estate investment.
I think with mortgage, what basically is, this is a form of payment, yeah? You're going to give the bank a certain collateral or an asset, and in return, they are going to give you financing to buy this certain project that you have. I think the biggest fear that Kenyans usually have when it comes to taking a mortgage is the high percent in terms of interest that they are going to, that the bank usually charges on them. And you see in even some cultures, religions, denominations, for example, the Muslim, they do not believe in paying interest. Yeah. So I think that's it's just one aspect of buying your property. The other aspect of buying your property, it's cash basis. So you see a lot of Kenyans who have a high disposable income want to put their money into somewhere else. So you should also consider cash as a form of payment. And cash as a form of payment is very, very important because, one, for example, for us as SSS properties, if you're buying any property with us in cash basis, we are going to give you a very, very good discount. Yeah? And you know, cash is king. We always say cash is king. Yeah. In every transaction, cash will always be king. Yes. So consider those two payment plans, but I would mostly, if you're a Kenyan who has high disposable income, I'd mostly advise my clients to use cash.
Yes. Now, when we talk about real estate, what are these advantages that one is going to enjoy when they invest in a real estate development?
So if you invest in real estate, number one, you're guaranteed of consistent cash flow on a monthly basis. For example, DG West, our projects guarantee you a 21% return on investment. Our Dubai projects guarantee you an investment as high as 25% and a capital appreciation of your unit as high as 40%. Yeah. So what we are talking, for example, if you buy a studio from us, an investor studio, you are looking at return of investment from 150,000 on a monthly basis. That is for a studio only. If you take a one bed, you're looking at 200,000. If you take a 2 bed, you're looking at 280,000. So that is consistent cash flow. The other thing is, it is a means of you growing your wealth. Mike, we always talk about generational wealth. Generational wealth is acquired using such form of assets. Either buying land, either buying an apartment, or you're either opening a business. So I would say these are the two main things that why a Kenyan should invest in real estate.
Are people afraid of investing in such projects? Because we are talking about, it's a major project that requires a considerable amount of money.
Yes.
Do people fear investing in such?
I would say yes and no. Yes, in the sense of we've seen so many Kenyans getting scammed by dubious people in the market, and know in the terms of a Kenyan who has done their research and who is working with trusted professionals such as ourselves, would be able to get, would be able to say, you know what, I know these guys, I have done my research on them, they are worth this much, they have done these projects across the country, and you know, now put their money with us. So I would say no, because Kenyans, especially Kenyans who invest with SSS developers and reportage properties, we've seen them smiling all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think of low-cost housing within the country? How do you see it? And related with the affordable housing that the government is currently undertaking?
We applaud the initiative by the government for affordable housing. I think it's a good initiative that's going to create a lot of job opportunities for the Kenyans outside there. But I would also urge Kenyans who have the capability to not only take advantage of the affordable housing, but also look into affordable luxury, whereby you are going to get a much bigger return on your investment.
Yeah. Let's say I have land, but I do not have the means to build, but I want to develop a real estate project. How do I go about that? I have land, but I do not have the finances to put up a real estate project. How do I go about that?
So if you have land and you're thinking of making the best out of this land, you can consider something called a JV, a joint venture partnership, which is, if your land is well located and well stimulated, you can even approach us, you know, and our assessors, our team will do the value, and if it's something that is, you know, that we consider as a worthy place, we might consider getting into a partnership.
So coming up with a partnership is a very good place to start if you want to get into such an investment.
Exactly.
Well, that's very interesting. And we've looked at advantages and, you know, the two sides of the coin. Is there anything that one needs to look out for when they are getting into the real estate investments, besides being scammed?
Yes, you need to. The only reason why someone would put their money into any project is, what am I getting in return? You know, it's something with every human being. What am I going to get in return out of this? So consider a lot of things. For example, consider the return on investment. Yeah. Consider how much your unit is going to appreciate. Look at the future goals. So you might be buying either for your own use or as a means of you to generate wealth out of it. So consider these three things.
Yes. As we come to a close, what do you see as market projections within the real estate sector?
This estate is going to keep growing and growing and growing. There's no turning back on this. So many critics outside there in the market say, you know, the real estate market bubble is going to burst. But my question is, if this market is going to burst, why do we have international companies investing into the Kenyan market? So it's a market that is projected to grow on a daily basis. Yes.
Nice. What is your final thoughts on all this, your parting shot?
My parting shot to the Kenyan who's outside there, looking at me right now. SSS Developers is your gateway to the Kenyan real estate market. It is your gateway as well to the international real estate market. So you should always consider real estate as a form of investment.
Yes. Thank you so much for making time to come and talk about real estate development in Kenya.
Thank you as well for
We hope to host you another time and talk more in detail and see how the market turns out.
Sure.
That is King Max Mbarire of SSS Developers Reportage Properties speaking to us about the state of real estate investments in Kenya. My name is Mike Migu. This is where we cap this conversation. Don't go too far. Good Morning Kenya continues shortly with Vivian Ndegwa. Good morning.
Niaje mam, umeupdate token meter yetu?
Ai, kuupdate token meter yetu? Hiyo ni nini?
Acha nikuchanue mam. Leta simu yako. So, kuna hii text tulipata from Kenya Power. Kwa hiyo text kuna code 2. Weka code ya kwanza ku reset token meter. Alafu weka code ya pili ku update token meter.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Well, go on, my brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth wake the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday. With me, DJ_Liza Diva.
DJ Colder.
And me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hatija ai, money especially ukisonga.
Welcome back. We are glad that you are with us. This is Good Morning Kenya, and right now we get into the family check segment. And as I had mentioned at the very beginning of the show when we were doing our intro, we'll be talking about trust, and specifically the role of trust in relationships. I mean, trust is like the cornerstone of any relationship out here. So how do you build on that trust, and what is its role exactly when it comes to relationships? And joining me for this conversation is one Faith Nashipae. Faith is the CEO of Thriving Communities Africa. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're doing all right?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
All right.
It's a beautiful morning, and August has started.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is actually a beautiful morning.
Yes.
So when we're talking about trust in a relationship, how does that look like?
Trust, let's begin by saying that trust is when I can rely on someone and I can believe in someone that that person will not let me down. And trust is where someone is truthful. So in any relationship, every relationship is actually glued by trust. It's more like the foundation that makes us shake hands and want to have coffee with someone and want to take a relationship from one level to another. It is when I look at you and know I can believe you and I give you a chance, and then we begin from there and we walk a journey. And trust is in every relationship. It's not just in a love relationship or marriage relationship. It can also be children to parents, or parents to children, or children to children. It is also in business. We do business because we trust. Yeah. So trust is more like the main thing that holds relationships together. Yeah.
And now that you've mentioned, trust is needed in all kinds of relationships. Does it look different from a romantic relationship to maybe a friendship, family relationship? Is there a difference, or trust is just trust generally?
Let's begin with trust is trust, because it is what makes us want to engage. But then we define it differently as the relationship progresses. So when it comes to a love relationship, there are those things that you do in a love relationship that you don't do in a business relationship. There are those things that you discuss, and there is the level of investment that comes through the emotional investment that comes in a love relationship that is different from a business relationship. This one is a little bit, we are here for business, it is professional, we are doing this. So we can trust that, I can trust you that you're going to deliver on the agenda. Right? The employees employ people with the fact that, with papers. I read your CV and I am convinced that this is someone, and I trust based on the realities on the paper that this person is going to deliver. Right? So I believe that what you present in your CV is truthful. I also see your history or your experiences and I'm like, this person is reliable. Or I see the kind of work that they have been able to do, or even their course, and I'm like, this is someone who's reliable for this position. So that is the far that this goes. But then I'll come to the area of a love relationship, where now in this love relationship, you don't have a CV, say, to gauge whether this person is trustworthy or not. You don't have a certain fallback. And where you have a fallback, it will come later, because probably you'll get to hear about this person from friends or from former schoolmates and the likes. Or maybe nowadays we are very good at Googling and checking the background of people from whatever social media. That is where we, trust in a relationship is different, because we start a journey. From the handshake to coffees, it's a journey that you walk step by step to the level where you feel that I think I am growing to believe in this person more. I have found this person truthful. I have found this person reliable. So it is a journey that this person presents to you. So by the time you're saying that I'm entering into a serious relationship or a lifelong relationship with this person, you have definitely gauged and watched and felt that this is the right person to walk this journey with.
Okay. What does it take to build trust in a relationship?
Truthfulness. The real you. The simple real you. The person that you are when you are alone in a room and you're expected to think or do things. That is the person that you present to your personal person. Right? The genuine thoughts that you have. So you don't build trust. When you have trust, you have a truthful person. You have a reliable person. you have a genuine person, very honest. So that these are some of the things that I will see and I will want to connect with. They're not tangible. It's not like a CV or a paper that you bring to me and you show me this has happened, or I have a degree in this. No, it is the person that you are. It is the values that this person has. Your values will make me trust you. Your abilities will make me trust you. Your values is what will make me feel that this person is very reliable. I can rely on Vivian. I can trust that Vivian will not fail me. It is your values that will make me feel that Vivian is not a snitch. She'll not go behind my back at any one point. Right? Or I am respected in this relationship. It is mutual respect, where I don't expect this person to violate me at any one time. That, for me, is what we call some things that build trust. Respecting each other is part of building trust.
Yeah. Is there a timeline to it? Can I say that I've known you for a year, so maybe, I can trust you? Or could you just know someone for a week and be able to trust them? Is there a timeline when it comes to trust?
I don't think there is a timeline. However, it is important to note that everyone has their level of engagement. Our kind of engagement is different. You will get to someone and the two of you get to have a discussion and you realize, okay, this is more like the pea and the pod. So it is working and we can trust. And you're able to build it so fast. But there are people who take so long. Naturally, them and trust, they are not one. So they have to cultivate. They have to work towards the trust. They have to believe in the process before they can say, I fully trust. And those are the people who maybe take a very long time in courtship or even in dating just to discover and to find out whether this person is right. We have no timeline. The truth is, everyone has their own way of trusting.
And what does the lack of trust do to a relationship? Is it even possible for people to have a relationship with no trust?
I'll give an example of the kind of relationships you're having today, where people start from a very naive point, a point of not knowing each other, and they get to know each other, they get to discover each other. It's looking so beautiful. And then along the way, one person does something that is betrayal to this other person. So betraying the faith that they have in them, the belief that they have in them, that you will not either backstab me, you will not violate me, you will not harm me emotionally. And harming emotionally is very subtle in many ways, but it is what has ruined many relationships. I keep saying that before you see someone hitting, before you see people fighting, there was an emotional violation that happened somewhere. So you find that if maybe one of the partners, and I will say this because it is not just men who cheat nowadays, even women cheat on their partners.
It has no gender to it.
Exactly. Cuckolding has no gender. So if someone cuckolds you or is in this relationship and you have a lot of trust that you're working on this relationship and you're faithful to one another and you're walking this journey. And because in trust there is vulnerability, there is openness, there is honesty. Someone does not uphold that and seeks honesty and trust in another person. The person who's left behind feels violated emotionally. They are hurt and they are wounded emotionally. But many times we don't interpret it that way. And I will say this, before even people get into a sexual relationship, they have communicated. They have built some sort of connection. There is some emotional infidelity before the physical infidelity. Let's put it as it is.
Yep.
So, in this case, when someone is having an emotional infidelity, the person who was relating with you and has been faithful to you feels broken. They feel that it was not supposed to be this way. They feel cheated on, even when no physical thing has happened.
Yeah.
So, and that is when now things escalate because this person is reacting. So this one now, the reaction on this end creates a favorable ground for the second relationship to, or the cheating, emotional cheating, to continue. Because now this one is not, the reaction is most likely negative.
Yeah.
You know, someone is coming home and another person is screaming and shouting and everything. So this person is saying, I'm looking for peace.
Yeah.
But he or she is not seeing that I am actually the person who has disrupted the peace in this environment.
Yeah.
So the earlier I look back, apologize, and start working on this environment, the better. Unfortunately, there are people, and there's someone, when I posted the poster for today's show, someone told me it's been 7 years since trust was broken. I don't know how to fix it.
And that actually leads us to my next question after that. You know, is it possible to regain back trust that was already broken with the same person? Like you broke trust in our relationship. Is it possible to rebuild that? Can it be fixed?
Let's be human and very honest. The truth is that we define things differently. The fact that this is a relationship that someone has invested fully on, you've invested your emotions, your time, your resources, your physical being. Like you have left nothing out. And then trust is broken along the way. It takes time to even heal, let alone trust again. So, and it takes a lot of calling yourself back to order and telling yourself, I can forgive, which in many cases it is very difficult. There are people who do not know how to forgive violations. There are people who, yes, they forgive, but every other time you see this person, you're thinking, but you did this to me.
Yeah, there's forgiving, yes, but then the
forgetting is, and that forgetting is what keeps us not being able to trust again. The reality of once bitten, twice shy is what makes someone not want to go back and be hurt again.
You're back, but you're very cautious. So
because your eyes are opened.
Yeah.
Before your eyes were blind, now that your eyes are opened, then how do you move on from here? The truth is you don't want to get your hands into fire. So you find people wanting to out in relationships and not even look back. Yeah.
Then also that also brings the issue of trust issues. You hear people saying, no, with her she really has trust issues. You know, him and that guy really has trust issues. So what's the root cause of trust issues, and how does one work on building that, or you know, fixing it?
You don't have trust issues unless you have been violated before. And trust issues in relationships, if I'm getting you right, trust issues is where someone has a very big problem in trusting people. Or in believing that I can trust someone to do this, I can trust someone to walk this journey with. And you find that these people are the people who've been violated not once, not twice, but severally. And it's not just one kind of relationship. It could be business, it could be family, it could be when they were children. The people they trusted most turned their back on them at some point. And so this person grows knowing that there is no way you can trust this world. So them getting to a place where they believe that this person can walk a journey with me becomes a challenge, and a big challenge. Yeah. Then there could be people who don't even know that they have trust issues, but for sure they do. And I can tell you, because I work with men a lot.
Okay.
Apart from being the CEO of Thriving Communities Africa, where we work and engage with men and boys, I am also I'm also in counseling, and I do a lot of engagements with men. I am also the men and boys ambassador, so kutetea haki za wanaume na boy child. But the basic thing is that many men don't even know that what is eating them up is lack of trust. And they don't know that it is because of what they went through before that they were not able to deal with emotionally. Because in our society, we don't train them to get in touch with their emotions. So they just have feelings and mood swings, and we call them mood swings and all that, and we think that they're okay. But the truth is, even us who are raising sons and boys, we are not keen to help them put word to their emotions. So that means that even when trust is broken, they can't tell you, I'm feeling broken, I'm feeling cheated on, I'm feeling heartbroken, I'm feeling sad, I feel angry. How could this person do this to me? All these things are emotions that they don't deal with. So then they come, we see some malformation, or we see them become people that are being called different names. We baptize them differently, and we say they have trust issues and everything. But the truth is, they are wounded people. And it's just that they have never looked back and asked themselves, why am I wounded? What is causing me to have these trust issues? They are never taught to face this particular person. They can face the world, they can face animals, they can face gunshots, they can face everything. But emotions, they were never taught how to.
Yeah.
So it could be that when we are talking about trust and we're saying that people have trust issues, that could be the reason. I mean, look at people who are coming from children's homes or who have had an experience, adverse childhood experiences, where maybe they landed in a children's home because parents fought, parents abandoned them and all that. These are people, the most important and most naive environment was broken.
Yeah, so you don't expect this person to just walk around trusting people, of course not.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. So we should not judge people who are having trust issues.
How do you work on that? Because some of them are really, deep-rooted. It's from trauma, from childhood and all that. So how do you work on that? And how also do you become so self-aware to know that, okay, I'm having this problem whereby I do not trust people. It does not matter.
We have friends, even girlfriends, who'll tell you, who'll give you feedback, and no matter how harsh it is, I keep saying, pick the feedback. Even when it doesn't look so beautiful, just pick the feedback. It could be the saving grace that you have at that time. And so sometimes our friends just say in passing, wewe na hii maneno yako, you don't trust people. Why is it that you're having a lot of trust issues? Why is it that you can't trust? And the truth is, when you begin to ask yourself, why are they saying this? And you start watching that trend and you realize not one person but several people have said, I have trust issues. Or you get into a relationship and get into another and you realize it's not working. You need to sit back and ask yourself, why? Why is it not working? What have I got to do in this? Because in every relationship, there is the part of you and there is the part of the other person.
It takes two to tango.
Exactly. And it also takes two to untangle. So in this case, you need to ask, what was my position and my part played in this breakdown? How can I avoid a next breakdown? So when you begin asking yourself, why is it that I am having this trend? You start going back and asking, how can I, then where is this coming from? What is the root cause? Then you realize either abandonment in childhood, you realize you trusted and maybe it was a physical issue. You went trusting and someone stabbed you in the back or did something that is significant to just stabbing you when you had already embraced. And all these things come up. Then now you start working on, was it trauma? Was it abandonment? What does it mean to me? What did it mean to me then, and what does it mean to me now? How do I feel about it in the here and now? How do I move on from where I am to becoming a better person? Unless you get to the bottom of it, you'll still have a lot of challenges. Because you need to face all your fears. And many times you don't want to open up those things that are closed up because they bring pain, they make us feel more vulnerable. We have created a name, you know you're a big person, you've created a name, you're good, the world sees you as a great person. But the truth is, when you don't look back and focus on the nitty-gritties of you, they are likely to affect even whatever you're doing. And so it's important that let's go back, reevaluate and look at your life and ask yourself, who is this and why is it that I am this way? Why is it that the world or the people around me, even though it is 2 or 3 or even one person who's giving you feedback, ask yourself, why is it that they're giving me this kind of feedback? What does it mean to me? And how can I become a better person? In life, we are, I keep saying we are students of life. When you wake up in the morning, there is something that you need to learn. By the time you're going to bed, you need to ask yourself, what was my lesson today? In genuineness, you know, you're honest, you can trust yourself. You can trust yourself. So what is this that I learned? What is this that I had that made me uncomfortable? And why did it make me uncomfortable? And what does it mean to be uncomfortable by this issue? Where is this discomfort coming from? So the more you query, the more you realize, oh, there is something here that is an underlying issue that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah. Can a relationship work without trust? Or when it gets to that point, you just know that maybe this is your cue to exit?
I don't want to be an advocate of exiting relationships because I really advocate for healthy marriages. And I've said healthy marriages. And yes, when there is some trust, people can reconcile, people can resolve conflict. You can look at someone and say, I forgive you, because you trust that person. Right? However, when trust has been broken, remember we said it is the base. So the base has been broken. And there is this good book that says, if the foundations are broken, there is nothing to reconcile. You need to go back and fix the foundations, right? So it is either the two people decides that, yes, we have broken trust, this thing is not working, we need to rebuild. And cautiously rebuild. Forgive. You start with forgiveness and you agree, okay, I am forgiving you. And the other person says, I am forgiving you. And yes, you say, we accept this forgiveness. And you start forging ahead as one. With knowledge. But unless you get to that place, and unless the two are willing to walk that journey,
and intentionally doing it.
It will be one person working on the relationship and the other one is just destroying the relationship. And that is where you find many marriages or many families at. Because one is trying to hold the piece, one of the pieces, whereas there is already a broken piece. And this other person is continuing to break the piece that is left with him or her. So there is one person who's really working hard. It is either a he or a she, and working hard towards building the relationship, but then this other one is just tampering with the trust, the little that is left. Right? So you find that it is hard to build in that space. So one is holding the children together, one is holding the family together, one is trying to put things together or, you know, keep the faith. The other one anafuata shughuli zake. So then, the many marriages where people say that I'm here because of children.
Yeah.
Children grow up and they leave and the nest is empty. And the two strangers who started as friends find each other in the house. They are beyond retirement. So they are now having to face each other day and night. Yeah. So, yeah, reality checks.
Picturing it, yeah.
Yeah. It's a reality check. You've said it's a family check.
Yeah.
And it's good for us to look at where are we headed even with all this. And in the 40s, I keep telling the people I talk to, mostly men, that in your 20s to your 50 or 45 or 49, they are very good at doing whatever they think that they can do to make their lives survive. All in the name of, I am building, I am doing. And in the process, they are also building a second relationship or a third relationship, or even they're having multiples. Then they reach at 50 and awareness creeps in. They're like, wait, I think I've made a lot of mistakes. But in the process, they were not looking at the emotional damages they were causing their spouses and they were causing in their children. Because children are learning in the process. So by the time they are 50, children are out of their houses. Or they are already getting out of their houses, they are going to universities and the likes. Then they wake up to one reality that I already broke trust. How do I rebuild? Literally, this person of mine has been watching me and holding this family together. Because we find people in that space, and many of them. And then they realize, I am retiring in the next 10 years. Ninaenda wapi? Where am I going? So it is important that even in your place of seeking out, looking and everything, keep the trust, because family is base. That wife of your youth, that husband of your youth is base in life. So when it is disrupted, so many things are disrupted, and by the time you're getting back to your feet, it takes a lot. It takes quite a lot. So it's important for people to accept that if I decide to build trust with this person, and I decide that I am going to build a home or a family with this person, let me be genuine and honest. Let me do my work of changing me and working on me to become the best version of myself in this relationship. It is first me becoming the best, and then I can be able to demand the next person to become the best. But you cannot demand of standards that you are not.
Yeah. So there's no love without trust. Bottom line. There can't be love without trust. Yeah.
I have seen something truthful in you. I've seen a reliable person. Sometimes it's not even reliable because there is money. You know, nowadays relationships zimeboiliwa down to kakiros.
Yeah.
What people can afford and what, So, but the thing is, it's reliable is in different forms. I'll wake up and I can rely on you and call you, and you will answer my phone. As simple as that. You know, I can walk with you home, and I'll not feel ashamed, because you're a good person, and you will blend with our people very well. You know, there is all this. I mean, reliable is in different ways. It's not just material. It's the person. It's the who we are that presents to the world.
Yeah.
So when you don't have that, there's no love. Yeah. Tusidanganyane.
Tutakuwa tunadanganyana.
Tusidanganyane. Yeah.
What is the role of communication when it comes to trust?
Truthfulness, just pure honesty, and remaining vulnerable. The relationships where people wake up and say, hey babes, wanaitananga babes, hey babes, I am so sorry that I wronged you yesterday. To a man saying sorry, to many men saying sorry is vulnerability. We need to understand that to them, just saying sorry, most of them is vulnerability. Because remember, these are people we've not taught how to say sorry. We've not taught them some of these things from the society. I'm saying we because we are the society and we are the mothers.
Yeah.
So, and then they are also taught in their culture. Men don't say sorry, men don't bow down, men don't do this. But then he's coming and he's saying, hey, honey, I'm sorry. This happened. It's something that shows that this someone is willing to work on the relationship. That is the beginning of communication. Or can we talk about this? And basically not shouting, but really having a conversation. And asking, where is this coming from? And genuinely responding to questions that your spouse asks. Or your partner asks. Genuinely responding, because many times we are there but we are not responding the right questions. You're responding based on what you're thinking and what you want to be heard, but not what this person is asking. Communication is about responding to things as they have been placed on the table, not what you think this person needs to hear. Because when the minute you start saying things to defend or to protect yourself, or what you want this person to hear, then you're not being genuine. There's no honesty. There's no honesty.
What actions would make a partner or your significant other feel more secure and trusted when in a relationship, or that they can trust you?
You feel safe when someone is vulnerable with you, when they are truthful. You feel safe when someone proves that they're reliable. That I can leave you with this cup and trust that I will find a good cup. That I can trust you with my time and you will not waste it. That I can trust you with my emotions, my deep emotions, and you will not destroy them. I can present to you something that is really hard to me and you will not use it to get back on me tomorrow. You know? There's so many things, and how people look at this and how people look at trust is different from one person to another. Very different from one person to another.
Yeah. When you say it's different from one person to another, does it also rely on one's boundaries?
Oh yeah. Everyone has their bottom line. All of us, we all have our bottom lines, and it is good to respect that we have our bottom. First, to know that there are places, there are levels that we cannot go beyond. That you can only take some kind of stuff. I'm trying to use the right words. You can only take some level of stuff to a certain level, and you can only be stretched to a certain level. Beyond there, it's a breaking point. And let it be known to the other person. Because the other problem that we have with trust is that we don't communicate our boundaries. You've asked a very good question: communication, boundaries, trust. We do not communicate that beyond this level. Haunisaidi. You know,
and you let it be known.
And you let it be known.
Don't assume it's unspoken. You should know that this is a boundary. No, speak
I have
it
a friend
out.
who says, "Soma riot act mapema." You know, read your riot act mapema. That these are my boundaries, and this is the far that I can go, and this is what I can take. So that by the time this person is coming to do this, they know it's a violation. It is not assumed. They know it's a violation, and so they know I am getting to battle. So I expect rioting any moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Communicating boundaries is critical in any relationship.
And everyone does have boundaries.
Oh,
yes. No one does
Everyone
not,
has boundaries. Yeah. Kuna mahali tu ukifika pia someone will snap. Yeah.
All right, so what is the importance of trust? I feel like we've talked about all these things surrounding trust, but we've not mentioned the importance of that trust.
Trust as the base of every relationship is critical in mending and building relationships. When you don't have cement, you don't have a building. Right? So I'm taking trust as the cement that holds the building together. The importance of this is that as long as it is there, there is the hope that this relationship will survive despite challenges. When someone is able to come back to trust, people can talk. When someone is able to come back to trust, someone can say, I'm sorry, and they can be forgiven. When someone is able to come back to trust, even when the world is against you, you're able to stand as one. That is how important trust is. But when it is not there, then you create an opportunity. It is a crack that has been created. So you create an opportunity, or you open a window or a door for anyone to come into the relationship. And I mean anything or anyone. It can be people who come to just destroy it even further. It can be other people who come to take away whatever you have. It can be even diseases or anything, you know. So we begin with this trust and we say, let's keep the trust. There's a book that says, don't break trust with the wife of your youth. It's written in the Bible. And I think it's in the book of Malachi, where God is talking about divorce, before the whole thing about divorce, or even after. And it is because you have broken trust with the wife of your youth. Meaning that without trust, you do not have family. It's broken. And many dysfunctional families are there because we have broken trust. Many of what we call dysfunctional or broken families are there because people have broken trust. So the earlier people start looking back and fixing what needs to be fixed and rebuilding trust, it's gonna work. But as long as we just continue with brokenness and we don't care that we are hurting and we are breaking others, we'll continue ruining the little trust that we have, and tomorrow we'll have nothing to look back to. Yeah.
Okay. What elements build trust? I know we've talked of communication, that's an element. So what other elements build trust?
You can have communication, and I will repeat, you can have communication, but if you don't have honesty, you genuinely don't have trust. You also need to be someone with clear value systems. I can't trust you if we don't share the same value systems, right? Because tomorrow I don't know how your kind of values are going to affect my kind of values or this relationship. I might be forced to do things that in my values are a violation. Right? Because they are your values. Your values, your kind of values are a violation to my kind of values. I don't know whether you understand me. So in that case, if we do not align this, then we are on the wrong. Right? So there is communication. There is honesty. But most importantly, there is the value system. Yeah.
Those are the elements.
For me, I would look at the value system of a human being. How have you been trained? What are these simple things? You know, the value systems are the ones that tell you, I'm sorry, politeness and kindness and genuineness are things that come in between, because it's part of your value system, it's part of you, right? Integrity is part of you. I can trust because there's integrity. I can trust because this person is a person who's diligent. I can see diligence in how they are doing their things and how they are operating and how they carry themselves around. So because of that, I can trust. These are values. It is what someone is taught and how someone is taught. So they are very critical. Value systems, communication is very critical, and basically the you, honesty. You must be present to be part of, and you must be honest to be part of building. Yeah. You can't be building when you're outside. I mean, you can't be building a building that is not even in Kenya, and yet you're in Kenya.
Yeah.
You know? And even when you're building an external building, which is your only building, then you'll have to create time for it. Yeah. There is also the element of time. Very critical. If I don't know you and I want to know you more, I need to associate with you. I need to apportion enough time and make sure that you understand that you are very important, and that's why I'm apportioning all this time to you. You can't build a relationship without time. Where people nowadays, communication is emojis.
A click of a button, you just,
emojis, you know. Or in the morning you want to wake up and go to chat box and ChatGPT? And you want ChatGPT to give you a romantic message in the morning, and all that. I mean, where did honesty go to? Why are people so lazy? Why can't you speak from your heart? You know?
I feel like that's not being honest.
No, it's not being honest. When you're looking to Google what to write. I like the way we used to date, because we were really talking. If people would talk out of their imaginations and their hearts, and it looked very crazy. And it is the same way that we would want people to date today, because people are genuine. I would recommend that people should put away their phones when it comes to this communication thing. And if you're to pick your phone because you want to learn how to unlock communication. But when it comes to the practical, do it. And speak from your heart, because it is the person that we want to relate with. It is not the imagined. It is not the guided. No. When the rubber meets the road and people are in marriage, they no longer depend on this. They talk. They say. So unless I know how you talk,
it will be hard to, handle the marriage. All right, as we come to the end of the conversation, I will allow you to give us your parting shot on this topic.
My parting shot is trust is built on honesty. In a big way. In every other thing, remember that honesty is part of trust. And as long as you're not willing to be honest, and you're not willing to be truthful, don't go into it. Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
It was an honor having you on the show.
Yes, we work with Thriving Communities Africa and also Thriving Communities Africa. We are shaping future families. We are also working with men and boys, advocating for the rights of men and boys in the country. We are currently having a 5th thematic area with government where we are looking at men and boys in gender sector. And we are also big on mental health, and specifically the mental health of men. So we are open to working with people and to ensure that we are reaching out to communities. And yes, families, that's the glue.
Yeah,
Let's
and
keep
it's a
it.
good thing that you're working on, mental health and specifically just narrowing it down to men because, they're kind of boxed, most of the times. And it's a good thing that that is what is happening right now. Like people are looking into men's mental health. We had our mental health march just the other day over the weekend. So it's a good thing. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much, Vivian.
That was Faith Nashipai. Faith Nashipai, as she has mentioned, is the CEO Thriving Communities Africa. Our topic of discussion was on the role of trust in relationships. And this is where we end Good Morning Kenya for today. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who has been tuned in. Until next time, God willing, take care.
France welcomes the world for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. In this edition, Heroic Team Kenya is pushing boundaries as well.
An Olympic gold medal.
More significantly, Kenya is intent on claiming victory at the quadrennial sporting event comprising of 45 sports that will be staged from 24th of July through to the 11th of August. Here comes a dose for everyone.
Yes, it is!
For the athlete, it is chasing a dream of a lifetime. And for the fan, witness history in the making, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Battling the cold, cozy weather in Bonn during Christmas. Well, guess what? Today, I'm bringing you the show from the beautiful sunny beaches of the smiling coast of Africa and the Gambia. The people, the food, and most importantly, the warmth are enough for a vibrant showpiece. Welcome to the 77% Magazine Show. I am your host, Fatu Elika Miloshi. Here's what's coming up today. A joint adrenaline rush at the Victoria Falls Bridge in Zambia. In Zanzibar, young entrepreneurs are innovating unique cooking skills after centuries of spice wells in the island town. Benin is 2024's best travel destination, and a Kenyan Maasai tour guide is breaking gender stereotypes in the community. Now to my adventure at the Victoria Falls Bridge, which is suspended just below the majestic Victoria Falls at the borderline of Zambia and Zimbabwe. This place is not just a scenic attraction. I see it as more of a thrill-seeker's paradise. So in trying to overcome my fears, I took a leap of faith. and bungee jumped a heart-pounding 111 meters down.